that.
Good evening. Time being 7 o'clock, I call the February 5th.
Recording in progress.
Meeting's in progress. I call the February 5th, 2025 meeting of the Franklin Town Council to order. Please pause for a moment of silence. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Announcements from the chair. All citizens are welcome to attend public meetings in person. To view the live meeting remotely, citizens are encouraged to watch the live stream on the Franklin Town Hall TV YouTube channel or the live broadcast on Comcast Channel 9 or Verizon Channel 29. Meetings are also archived by Franklin TV on the Franklin Town Hall TV YouTube channel and shown on repeat on Comcast Channel 9 and Verizon Channel 29 for those who miss the live meeting. To listen to the meeting remotely, citizens may call in using this number, 929-205-6099. This will not permit participation in the meeting. In order to participate in the meeting remotely, citizens are able to join a Zoom webinar using the webinar ID 898-0734-4771#. And once again, the Zoom ID is 898-0734-4771#. Any participants who wish to speak during the webinar must enter their full name and email address when joining the webinar. All participants will be automatically muted upon joining the webinar. In order to speak, participants who have entered their full name and email address will need to select the raise hand function to request to be unmuted. All speakers will be required to state their full name and street address before commenting. Tonight, Councilor Hamblin is actually out of the country, and Councilor Chandler is under the weather, and neither one will be participating remotely either. Okay, upcoming events. The town of Franklin has begun phase 2 of the National Community Survey. Phase 2 launched today, and it is open participation survey, which is open to all Franklin residents aged 18 and older. The NCS collects feedback from residents on a wide array of topics, which will be incorporated into future policy discussions and strategic planning. To participate and find more information, please visit the National Community Survey page on the town's website. The Town Council will hold office hours on Thursday, February 20th, 2025 at 8:30 a.m. at the Franklin Senior Center. Okay, next up on the agenda is citizens' comments. Citizens are welcome to express their views for up to 3 minutes on a matter that is not on the agenda. In compliance with General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20, the open meeting law, the council cannot engage in a dialogue or comment on a matter raised during citizens' comments. The town council may ask the town administrator to review the matter. Nothing herein shall prevent the town administrator from correcting a misstatement of fact during citizens' comments. Is there anyone in council chambers that would like to speak on an item not on tonight's agenda? Jane, you were quick with your hand. Please, name and address.
Always. First, I vote we go to the JBSC meeting rules and there's no time limits. I like those better. No, actually, I just have a question on the survey. I did look at it, have not done it yet, but all of the answers are either, I don't know, poor, fair, good, or excellent. Some of the questions, you could literally pick one of those and it's clear where you stand. And if obviously you put excellent for everything, then you're just a very happy person about everything that's going on and there's no issue. But there are some of the questions, and I'll use one of the things that I've been arguing about is building in the town. Now, if I wanted to answer on one of the questions that basically attribute to the way the town has been built up, I could put poor because that's how I feel personally, but there's no place to specifically justify your answer. So I'm curious on how it'll be interpreted because it could be read as poor because, hey, this person wants even more building, or poor because they really don't like how it's being built up. So I think with the survey, just for clarification, some of the questions, the answers can be interpreted completely opposite as the person intended when they filled it out. So if that is something that can be answered or whatever going forward, it would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Is there anyone else in council chambers that would like to speak on an item not on tonight's agenda? Please come forward, Dave. Name and address, please.
Sure. Dave Callahan, 30 Plain Street, Chair of the Franklin School Committee. So Chairman Mercer and I were chatting a couple of weeks ago and thought about the idea of I can kind of come together here and give some updates about what's happening with the Franklin Public Schools and the school committee as well. And so, normally our meetings run about 3 hours. Steve Sherlock and I try to recap down to about 30 minutes during our chalkboard chats. I'll give as much highlight reel as I can in 3 minutes here. But name of the game the past couple of weeks, really months, has been all about the budget. And so next week, February 11th, the school committee will be voting on the superintendent's budget, where he's coming in at about $80.3 million, pretty much in line with what the town administrator had been kind of forecasting for line item 300. It comes out to be about like a 3.7% increase. And this budget, it's fantastic. I can't wait for it to kind of come across your desk for everyone. But so much of it, though, is due to the reorganization that's been happening at the schools over the past couple of years, where it really kind of consolidated, going from 10 schools down to 7. And through that, through finding efficiencies and really just economies of scale, there's been multi-millions of dollars in savings that's brought us to this point, where if we were to kind of present this budget without the reorganization that we're doing, it would have been, instead of about a 3.7% increase, upwards of about 7.9%, almost doubling the structural deficit that we kind of find ourselves in right now. Really puts ourselves in a great footing moving forward. And then additionally, though, there's also be able to find some savings to be able to bring back some of the programming that had been cut over past couple of years, such as music programs over at the middle school, and really investing in our elementary schools to be able to keep class sizes down. We were having some kindergartners that were kindergarten classrooms with about 27 kindergartners. Now, looking forward across the elementary schools, be able to have about like 20 to 21 kiddos in our classroom sizes. As Jamie mentioned last week at the Elks, it really puts Franklin in a much more competitive space with that. So I'm really excited about the work, and all of this is really Superintendent Jagier and his entire team have been working around the clock, because again, the vote for the school committee will be next week. This is something that typically happens in April. So not only is it a great budget, we're doing this massive reorganization, but his team is coming in and accelerating the timeline, so that way everybody in the entire town has that many more months to take a look at this budget, digest it, ask questions about it. So I'm sure I'm getting close to my 3 minutes times. Feel free to give me a call, if any kind of questions that pop up. I think half of Franklin has my phone number at this point, so I'm always available, but I thank you guys for your time.
We'll make sure we get it to the rest of the council. Thanks, Dave. Okay, is there anyone else in council chambers? Mr. Sherlock, name and address, please.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Steve Sherlock, 13 Magnolia, citizen reporter for Franklin Matters, Franklin Public Radio. Many of you know me here for that. In my reporting, I do hear that some people are overwhelmed by what is going on, and I totally understand that. Believe me, having attended and actively participated on an average of 100 meetings a year, I definitely know there is an awful lot going on. But benefits do come from that. So I can report and record, share the TV recordings as well, and watch across the town and school meetings to help connect the dots to tell the better story. I'm the only one that I know does that. And the reason I'm standing here today is FranklinMattersWeekly.org has been reintroduced. So instead of getting a daily email, which is still available, which is a whole lot of info, and I understand people get overwhelmed by that, once a week on Sundays between 11 and noon time, you'll get a look of the week ahead and a quick look back at the week that was. Once a week, it'll give you all the good information, accurate, timely, my notes, links to the recordings so you can digest my notes and then look to the recordings and see how accurate my notes were. So, yes, I understand it's overwhelming. I have trouble keeping up with it all, but people can at least look at the one weekly going forward, because we're getting into a really challenging time period. We really need to be aware of what's going on, and that's part of my service. So thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Is there anyone else in council chambers that would like to speak on an item not on tonight's agenda? Okay, is there anyone out there in Zoom land that would like to speak on an item not on tonight's agenda? I don't see anybody. Do you, Amy? Okay, moving on. Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes from January 22nd, 2025.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. Discussion, additions, deletions. Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next item on the agenda, proclamations and recognitions. Fire Department. Chief. Chief McLaughlin, always nice to have you at our meetings.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the council. Chief McLaughlin, tonight we are very happy to introduce two of our newest promotions for the fire department. We have Captain Matthew Kelly and Lieutenant Jeffrey Ward. Those promotions are a result of a vacancy that occurred earlier on with Captain Mola. Actually, it's Chief Mola now. Chief Mola left us and went to as a deputy chief with the Medway Fire Department. Make no mistake about it, it's a big loss for the Franklin Fire Department. Not just as an officer, not just as a firefighter, but Paul had a great energy, great positivity, good mentor for a young firefighter on a job. But we do wish him the best and all the success in his new role with the Medway Fire Department, so I want to congratulate him.
I don't want to take up much time. Tonight is about Matt and Jeff, period. I do just want to say thank you for a wonderful 25 years at the Franklin Fire Department. I could not have asked for a better organization to work for. It was a complete pleasure. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, Bennett.
Chairman, we know that Paul's going to stay close by because he's going to continuously rely on the Franklin Fire Department to put out the fires in Medway. So he's going to need us. So with that, I'm going to ask the Town Clerk Nancy and Deputy Barbieri to come up and for Captain Kelly and Lieutenant Ward to step forward.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Town Council. First, we have Captain Matthew Kelly. Captain Kelly started his career in the fire service as a call firefighter for the town of Franklin in 1997. He was appointed full-time in 1998. The same year, he obtained his paramedic certification. He holds many professional certifications as well as an associate's degree in fire science. Prior to his promotion to captain, he served as a lieutenant on Group 4, and now he serves as a captain on Group 1.
I don't need a mic. Matthew, I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand, please, and repeat after me. I, Matthew Kelly, do solemnly swear to faithfully execute the duties as a fire captain for the town of Franklin with respect, integrity, and excellence, and to uphold the mission of the department, the Constitution, statutes, and regulations of the United States of America, and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and the Charter and bylaws of the town of Franklin. So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Captain Kelly will be pinned by his wife, Jenny. Next, we have Lieutenant Jeffrey Ward. Lieutenant Ward attended UMass Lowell, where he received a bachelor's degree in engineering. He worked in the engineering field for several years before making a career change into fire and EMS when he started with the Medway Fire Department in 2018. He came to the Franklin Fire Department in 2021. He holds certifications as a fire instructor, Fire Officer 1-2, and Incident Safety Officer. He resides with his wife Stephanie and 2 children, Cora and Henry, in Douglas.
Jeffrey, I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand and repeat after me if you will. I, Jeffrey Ward, do solemnly swear to faithfully execute the duties as a fire lieutenant for the town of Franklin with respect, integrity, and excellence, and to uphold the mission of the department, the Constitution, statutes and regulations of the United States of America, and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and the Charter and bylaws of the town of Franklin. So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Lieutenant Ward will be pinned by his daughter, Cora.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chief. And welcome aboard. And congratulations on your promotions. Okay, next item on the agenda is public hearings. We have a couple this evening. The first public hearing is order of layout, acceptance, and taking of September Drive and Countryside Lane and drainage lots, parcels A and B, and easements. And I would declare that public hearing open. Jamie?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, really quickly, as the memo in the packet states in the legal ad, we get a lot of questions about street acceptances. Just want to thank the town attorney and the town engineer. It's really a partnership between mostly them that work on trying to clean up the backlog of streets in town that oftentimes people think are public ways, but they're not accepted public ways. And as it says in the memo and a lot of the materials, there's certain standards in state law that we have to abide to. And when we work through these over time, we just chip away at them one at a time. We're still 100+ roads away from meeting that deadline, but through the council's approval, usually every few years, there's a small amount of capital money that goes towards this, and that helps both the legal process as well as the town engineer who's here tonight, Mike Maglio, to work through all of the upgrading and standards and working potentially with the original owners of those roads to bring them up to a code so that we can fully accept them. Why does this matter? These do get added to our Chapter 90 allotment. Do not expect a huge windfall of money from this particular road here. But as we chip away and do accept these streets, the town then becomes legally responsible for these. Yes, then we have to fix the potholes, we have to do the proper maintenance to them, and we legally can plow and snow removal on those streets. And these do get added to our list, which we do get a little bit of money from the state in our Chapter 90 allotment to then try to keep up with that maintenance every year. So that's about as good of an overview as I can do in a couple minutes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Jamie. Where this is a public hearing, I will go to the public first. Is there anyone in council chambers that would like to speak on this order of layout and acceptance of taking of September Drive and Countryside Lane? Seeing no one, is there anyone out there in Zoom land that would like to speak on this order of layout? I don't see anybody. Do you? I'll go to the council. Questions or comments from the council? Councilor Pellegrini.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you. To Jamie, do we have any bonds outstanding that we're holding, or have we released them all?
No.
No, the planning board recommended approval, and at that time, release whatever funds were left, because the road was determined to be up to the standards that we would accept.
So there's no money being held anywhere?
No.
No.
It's all been released? Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Pellegrini. Any other councilors? Seeing none, I will declare the order of layout, acceptance, and taking of September Drive and Countryside Lane drainage lots parcels A and B and easements, declare that public hearing closed. And we will go right to legislation for action, and we'll go to Resolution 25-07, order of layout, acceptance, and taking of September Drive and Countryside Lane and drainage lots, parcels A and B, and easements. Clerk will read the resolution.
Sorry, sir. 2507.
2507.
The big stack tonight. Sorry.
Mr. Chairman, a motion to waive the reading.
Second. Thank you.
Motion and second to waive the reading. All those in favor of waiving the reading signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Move resolution 25-07.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve Resolution 25-07. A 2/3 majority votes required. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
7-2 absent, sir.
Okay, we'll move to the second public hearing, which is on common victualers, Section 12, restaurant, all alcoholic beverages license and approval of Karen Goswami as the manager Goshik Restaurants Incorporated, doing business as Mirchi Indian Cuisine, located at 14 East Central Street, Franklin, Mass. 02038. This public hearing was continued from January 22nd, 2025. I will declare the public hearing open. Jamie?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chairman, if the attorney or representatives for Murchie are present on Zoom or in the hearing, please feel free to raise your hand and just come up to the mic. Really quickly, this is a technicality. Oh, there's Karan.
Karen?
Just for everybody's edification, this is a new license. It doesn't feel like that because there's already been a restaurant there for a very long time. But I believe there's a new ownership group. This was continued from the last hearing to make sure all the paperwork and application were in line. Now we've got everything, all the ducks in a row. And so this is a new alcohol license. As people may not know, but because there's already been a license there and there's been restaurants before, this really helps the process at the ABCC because it's not a new location. And so most of this is pretty routine and rote. All the departments have signed off on this, so they've been able to go through the proper inspections, tax liabilities, all that stuff. And if the representatives want to hop on and add anything to the hearing, please feel free to jump in.
I don't see anybody with their
Is
hands
it on the
up.
Panelists?
Is-
No. Nope.
Okay, is there anyone in council chambers that would like to speak on this common victular, all alcoholic beverage license? Attorney Sorrell.
Mr. Chairman, if there's no representative of the applicant here or on Zoom, my recommendation would be to continue this further.
I do believe she's on Zoom, because I see her name up there.
Is it Karan Goswami?
Karen Goswami.
There we go. Yep.
Does she have her hand up? Yeah.
Yeah, she's,
Yeah.
Karen, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Oh.
I'm on the call.
Hi, Karan, how are you?
Correct.
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Do you have any comments for the public hearing for Koshik Restaurants, Inc.?
No, sir. As long as I'm getting the license and I'm happy to serve the town, I don't have any question.
That was very smooth.
You gotta give it over.
Well stated.
Mark.
Attorney Sorrell.
I would recommend that you make a brief presentation as to what your existing business is, what you're proposing to do, and what your hours of operation are going to be, that sort of thing.
So the hours of the operation going to be the same as the restaurant's dining hours.
And what times are those, Karan?
So the dining hours it starts from the 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. and we can extend the take off till the 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. as well. But we are not serving and we are not sending any kind of alcohol to the off premises. But we are consideration to get alcohol, serve the alcohol in the on premises only, and that's for the dining customers only.
Yep. Okay.
That answer your question?
Doesn't it, who is your manager supposed to be?
Karan, him.
The manager is a Karan Goswami.
And that's you?
Yes.
And what is your experience with handling retail alcohol sales?
So I have 5 years experience. I used to do works in the down the street Union Street's Wines and Liquor in the Franklin. I used to do the job there, and I was a manager there.
And are you tip certified?
Yes, sir.
And all your employees are or will be properly certified as the town bylaw requires?
Yes, sir. And if they are not applied yet, I will be take care of that very personally, and I will handle that.
Thank you, Karan. Again,
Thank you, sir.
Questions from the council? Councilor Cormier Ledger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. So I have, I guess, a couple of questions. So I've eaten at this restaurant, and they currently do not serve alcohol.
Correct.
That's correct.
So it's not that they have an existing license and they had alcohol before.
A different,
The prior owner.
a different establishment.
Different
And they-
establishment.
Okay. So I guess my second question then, because we've dealt with this before, this isn't just a beer and wine alcohol license, this is all alcohol.
That's correct.
So from what I understand, the establishment could also choose to sell that if they so chose to another entity in town seeking that, correct?
Well, through you, Mr. Chairman, so this is an on-premise consumption license. The forefathers of the town of Franklin made a genius decision many years ago to have a no quota policy under state law. So there's no quota on the licenses here. So for restaurant licenses, there's no quota, so therefore they would not necessarily transfer this other than if it was in the intellectual property of that parcel. So there's no actual market value to it because anyone can apply for an on-premise license for consumption on premises and be able to be granted one in Franklin.
Okay. So for the purposes of the public understanding, it's different with a package store?
It's
or
very different.
a store that might have a license like this could then sell it to
That's
another
correct.
entity where they're going to use it on premises, it stays with them, and it's not sellable.
If they sold the business to someone else, then the license would be transferred with it, but there's essentially not a market competition. To your point, it's night and day from a
Yep.
package store.
Yep, no, thank you, that completely solves that issue for me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Cormier Ledger. Any other questions from any other councilors? Seeing none, I will declare the public hearing on the new common victular Section 12 restaurant all alcoholic beverage license and the approval of Karan Goswami as the manager, Goshik Restaurants Incorporated, doing business as Mirchi Indian Cuisine. I declare the public hearing closed. And we'll go to the license transaction. And the license transaction is for the new common victular, Section 12 restaurant, all alcoholic beverage license, and approval of Karan Goswami as the manager, Goshik Restaurants Incorporated, doing business as Mirchi Indian Cuisine, located at 14 East Central Street, Franklin, Mass. 02038. Clerk will read the license transaction.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a new common victuals, subsection 12 restaurant, all alcoholic beverages, Kashak Restaurants Incorporated, doing business as Marichi Indian Cuisine, located at 14 East Central Street, Franklin, Mass. 02038. Kashik Restaurants Incorporated, doing business as Marichi Indian Cuisine, is seeking approval for a new section 12 restaurant, all alcoholic beverages licenses, and approved manager Karan Goswami. All departments have signed off this application, and Mr. Chairman, this is a motion to approve the request by Kashik Restaurants Incorporated, DBA Marichi Indian Cuisine, for a new Section 12 restaurant, all alcoholic beverages licenses, and approve Karan Goswami as the manager. Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion on the motion. Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on. Next item on the agenda, presentations and discussions. ALS, BLS trends, EMS Battalion Chief Bill Blanchard, Chief McLaughlin, and a large team are here this evening.
Good evening again, Chairman, members of the Town Council. With me tonight, I have EMS Battalion Chief Bill Blanchard, EMS Captain Laurie Kay, and we're here to give a presentation on the status of our emergency medical services division regarding activity and current trends. We appreciate you folks giving us the opportunity of giving this presentation now because, as you know, calendar year '24 was the first full year that we put a third ambulance in service 40 hours a week during impact time, during business hours. We actually did it, if you recall, back in October of '23 is when we first began it. We hope the presentation will be educational for both you and the community, so I'm going to ask Captain Kay to start off the presentation, if that's okay.
Hi, everyone. So we're going to go over our past fire EMS operations. We're going to review our current staffing. We're going to provide some run and revenue statistics and examine some trends. So first, a little history lesson. So back in 2020, we brought our shift minimum to 11 firefighters. That's when we added the battalion chiefs. When we were at 11 during that time, we were staffing Battalion 1, Engine 1, Ambulance 1, Engine 2, and Ambulance 2. What's important to understand here is that when we staff Ambulance 1, if there's a fire call that comes in, then that ambulance crew goes out on the tower. The other thing to understand is that when that ambulance is tied up on an EMS run and they're at the hospital, the tower's not available to respond. All right, so in July of '23, the chief added a day firefighter and an EMS captain. We still had a shift minimum of 11, but a lot of the groups were up to 13. So when we have 13 people working, we could have A3 in service. So that's when we started A3 in the rotation, going out on that third medical out the door. The other thing that having A3 staffed, it meant that we had better Tower 1 coverage. So now if A1 is at the hospital, the crew from A3 can staff Tower 1. All right, so this past fall, that day firefighter was reassigned to a group. The groups went to 14 people max. We still kept the minimum at 11 on nights, weekends, and every other Monday and Friday. And that might sound a little bit weird to you guys, but that staffing, the day staffing at 12 is based upon the EMS captain's schedule. And that EMS captain's schedule, that's me, obviously. So like this week I worked Monday through Thursday, next week I worked Tuesday through Friday. So on those days, the day staffing is 12, from 7 to 5. And I'll come out of the office and go on a run if need be. There are days, like this past Monday, where we did have 14 people on shift. So when we have 14 people on shift, they're able to staff that ambulance without me in the mix. Whenever we have 13 or 14 people working, A3 is staffed. So the A3 staffing is very variable depending on who we have in over the course of a 24-hour shift. All right, so what does the different staffing levels look like? I know that was a little bit confusing, but, so 11, explain that, that's Engine 1, Ambulance 1, Engine 2, Ambulance 2, no A3. When we're at 12, and I am not available or not working because there are weekend days where I'm not in, we take that extra firefighter and we put them on Engine 1, which is a good thing because that gives us more manpower when we do have a fire call. Staffing at 13, we're able to staff Ambulance 1 and Ambulance 3, and we can staff the tower dynamically depending on the way the calls come in. So if all of our ambulances are at the hospital, we still can't staff that Tower 1. We do rely on mutual aid. When we're at 14, we take that extra firefighter and put him onto Engine 1 or her. All right, so now we'll start into some statistics. So you can see over the past 4 years that our total calls have increased. So the green calls are the total calls. The red calls are the EMS calls, and the blue calls are the fire calls. So this past year, in 2024, our calendar year runs were 5,500 runs with 3,673 EMS calls. Of those 3,673 EMS calls, we received mutual aid 295 times. So that means that Rentham, Bellingham, Medway, and any of our surrounding towns are sending ambulances in to cover when we don't have ambulance coverage. So when the ambulances are tied up or out of town, we found that it takes a little bit longer at the hospitals when we hand patient care over because the hospitals are so busy just because of the status of the healthcare system. So when you look at, you know, what has gone on over the past 4 years, people don't have primary care docs anymore. A lot of people rely on, you know, urgent care centers, et cetera, and a lot of people have put off their medical care. So that's where we come in, and we're bringing them to the hospital. It does take longer to get the patients into a bed, because just Milford Hospital yesterday, I was tied up with a patient for 25 minutes waiting for a bed. So our ambulances are taking longer at the hospitals before they're coming back to town, and we don't have Norwood Hospital anymore. So we go a little bit further, the calls take a little bit longer, and they're more labor intensive because of our scope of practice that's expanded over the years. So you can look, see the trends right there. The mutual aid has gone up, and the calls have gone up. So last year, what did A3 do? So A3, the vehicle, did 168 responses and 101 transports. So we did, you know, make a difference as far as providing coverage to the town of Franklin. All right, now I'm going to hand it over to Chief Blanchard.
I'm going to continue on.
Move that mic a little over. Thanks, Bill.
All right, yep. I'm going to continue on with some statistics. The previous two slides, Lori just mentioned that A3 responded to 168 calls last year, and the mutual aid runs coming in were at 295. So without A3 in place, we were anticipating that we would have had 463 times the mutual aid would have had to come into town to provide an ambulance. But we also provide mutual aid ourselves to the surrounding towns, and just we don't do it as frequently. So the past year, to the 24, we went out 78 times and provided mutual aid to local towns. Out of our overall call run volume, 66.7% were EMS related in 2024, and out of those 66.7%, 72.4 were transports, where we brought somebody to the hospital. And also in 2024, we treated 2,808 patients, Franklin residents. So here, what we did is we tried to run a graph to show how many runs were for each day of the week over the past year. And this is a little bit surprising to us, that it's sort of leveling out, where the weekends aren't as quiet as they used to be. They're catching up to weekdays, and it's starting to level out. So that caught us a little bit by surprise. We also ran it for on the days of the week, how many times the mutual aid had to come into town. Also, so we're showing on Tuesdays and Fridays are our busiest 2 days, with Saturday, Sunday being the second. One of the reasons could be because we don't run A3 on the weekends, so we require mutual aid more. This is from Comstar, that's our billing company. This is showing us that we've been gradually increasing the number of billable runs over the past 4 years, and we've also been slowly increasing in revenue over the past 4 years. For 2024, we're not fully collected yet, so we're still in the process. It'll probably take another 2 months or so before we're fully collected. We're anticipating around $2.5 million, I think, for 2024. CPE, so that's the Massachusetts Ambulance Certified Public Expenditure Program. So this is a voluntary program that we participate in. It has to do with Medicaid or Mass Health. And what we do is we supply them with our cost reporting for the past year. And through a formula, they calculate the cost based on the revenue we took in for Medicaid. And for the past 4 years, we've been slowly increasing. We're up to over $200,000 that we bring in addition to the amount of money that we bring in through our normal billing process with Comstar. These are, I think later on tonight, you'll be talking about billing rates, I think is on the agenda, I believe. So this is just an overview of what Comstar is recommending for us to increase for this year that you guys will be discussing tonight. And we sort of, we did an estimate for the next 2 years to try to sort of project what our run volume is and the revenue. So the total number of runs, this is for all calls, fire and EMS. We're anticipating about 250 calls a year that will be increasing. So at the end of 2026, we think our total runs will be up to 6,000 runs per year. We're anticipating that 68% of those runs will be EMS related. And our ambulance revenue, we're estimating about $150,000 a year of an increase, bringing us to $2.8 million in 2026. But if you include the roughly $200,000 we can get for CPE, we should just be breaking $3 million at that point. Overall trends that we've been seeing is that call volume has been increasing. Nights and weekends are busier than they have been in the past. Simultaneous runs are more common. In December 2024, we had 25 times where there were 5 or more calls going on at once. And those are the days where you might see 3 mutual aid ambulances coming in to help us out. Also, if we do ask for mutual aid, it can take longer to respond to the residents of Franklin. That depends on where they're located in town and what town they're pulling from. Dispatch does do a great job in trying to pull the closest ambulance, but other towns are getting busier as well, so it doesn't always work that way. So you might have to reach out further, and it takes a little bit longer. Also, the number of billable runs are increasing, which in turn will increase our revenue as we see the years progress. That's really all we had for tonight. If you have any questions for us, let us know.
Mr. Chairman, before the questions and comments, 2 quick points I want to make. I've gotten a few calls and emails regarding ISO 1. ISO 1, well, how did we get ISO 1 in March of '22 with ambulance response concerns? ISO 1 has nothing to do with ambulance or medical services. ISO 1 is strictly for the ability of a fire department through the water infrastructure in the town to quickly and efficiently put a fire out. It has nothing to do at all with emergency medical services. So I think it's important to make that distinction going forward. And the other point I'd just like to make is that if we were forced with losing people, this is where we'd be affected is A3. That's simply the only choice we have with the other 2 engines and the 2 ambulances in service. I did mention last June 26th in this room that it'd be a concern of ours. If we lost those people, I'm glad we retained those people for this current budget year that we're in right now. My biggest takeaway from this presentation is we would have had 463 mutual aid calls in town if we did not have that truck in service. But more importantly, we still had 295 mutual aid calls in town within service. So I can pretty safely project that if we didn't have that truck in a 12-month cycle in the future, we'd be starting off well over 500 plus mutual aid calls coming into town. So we're just trying to keep up with the demands of the community going forward. So well, hopefully this helped out present this information.
Thank you, Chief. Councilor DeLorco.
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation. That's great. You guys do a great job. I'm just kind of curious with about 295 mutual aid. How do we pay them, or how does that work? I mean,
so whoever transports the patient, they're the ones that bill.
Okay, so we don't have to like get the money. Well, we don't get any money, but
right,
but we don't have to collect the money and give it to them either.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. I was just kind of curious how that happened.
Thank you, Councilor DeLorco. Councilor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll keep it brief, but, you know, Chief and to your crew, everybody, Paul, we're gonna miss you, that's for sure. What you folks do is God's work, you know, it really and truly is. One of the things that's come up as kind of a common talking point over the years when you folks have come to us, and I know Chief brought it up, is the commonality to back-to-back calls, where like I even look at the list of calls that you folks get. Sometimes you'll go to call at like 9:22 and get another call to another place literally within like 3 minutes to some other part of the town. Have you noticed that trend increasing, where that commonality, where you're in one place only to be pulled in a different direction, without the ability to get there as efficiently and as effectively as you wish you could?
Through the chair, it happens quite often. When the meeting started at 7 o'clock, we just had 4. You saw them leave here now. They just got 4 or 5 calls just now, and I think we got 2 mutual aid ambulances in town right now. It's just coincidentally that we're here, but I just noticed it on the phone when they left, and it comes in cycles.
Yeah.
And then you go a certain amount of time where nothing comes in.
Yeah.
But it just runs in cycles. And the amount of simultaneous runs at the same time is certainly increasing for sure.
Not long before I came here tonight, I overheard somebody mention that there was a 4-car pileup on 495, and that was somewhere around the Bellingham area. Have you noticed a significant increase in vehicular incidences that your department has had to respond to on the 495 area?
No, those numbers have been pretty steady.
I'm sorry?
They've been steady.
They've been fairly
Status
steady.
quo.
Okay, even with the weather? That's the way that it's been? Okay. I just get concerned about you folks, because you put your lives at risk to help save us, and there isn't enough thank yous that I could say for everything that you folks do for this community and what you do for everybody, so. And you guys have my support 1,001%. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Jones. Councilor Frangillo.
Yeah, thank you. This was a very informative presentation. Appreciate that. What makes a trip billable versus not? Apologies if that's.
Well, when we transport them to the hospital, that would make it billable. So if we show up to somebody's house and we help or treat them, we don't bill for that. It's only when we actually bring them to the hospital.
Just transports. Okay. Thank you. That was easy. The difference in response time of mutual aid versus us, do we have the statistics? Do we have an estimate?
We did not run a report for the response times for the mutual aid ambulances coming in. Because of the way we've been marking our response times, it's based on the first unit's arrival. So we're marking when the engine
Got it.
gets there, or, one of the cars gets there, et cetera.
So it'd probably be similar
Yeah,
in
so
most
if
cases.
myself or somebody in the car shows up, then that's the response time.
Yeah.
We'll do it there first.
Yeah, even if something comes later. Okay. And then just while I have you, any trends in issues that arise in the community? Are we seeing certain issues be more or less common over time? So, like reasons for
There's definitely
response.
definitely been an uptick over the course of my career in the mental health type of calls. We do a lot of mental health emergencies throughout town.
Yeah, I think even after COVID, we saw an uptick in mental health overall, and that's probably the biggest area.
And Councilman, we also mentioned that people are living longer, they're recognizing signs and symptoms, they get more education. So that's a positive thing, but that would be another reason I think there's an uptick in calls as well, as we said in the past.
Okay, great. Very helpful, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Frangillo. Councilor Sheridan.
Thank you very much for that. That was kind of my question too, about the uptick in calls.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, like like you said, the weekends have moved up too.
Yeah.
Same idea, probably?
It's industry-wide.
Yeah.
It's not something just for Franklin, it's
Yeah.
industry-wide. And the other thing I mentioned about the mutual aid calls is our surrounding communities, for the most part, have one ambulance, full-time
Okay.
ambulance. So they're not available, then it doubles up, now you're waiting just that much longer. But
Okay.
like I said, we try to get an engine company on the scene, and if they're tied up, our battalion chief will get there, we'll try to get a Franklin person there as quick as possible.
Yeah.
Before the mutual aid ambulance gets there.
How about police, does that include police too?
Yeah, the police could get there as well
Yeah.
and help out as well, if
Okay.
need be, for sure. But I know if our battalion chief or one of our staff people hear a call come in that all our vehicles are tied up, they will get on the road and get there
Okay.
as well, in
Great.
case the police are busy at the same time.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Sheridan. I'd just like to follow up on Councilor Frangillo's question, only because I tend to ask this question every year, and that's, do we see an uptick from the senior housing facilities within the community that you're getting calls to come there to pick somebody up who's fallen onto the floor? And I just get concerned about that call and a heart attack call coming in at the same time. I know we've talked in previous years about looking at maybe different options, trying to get them to get together and maybe privatize for those kinds of things.
Yeah, I know it was a real concern about 3 or 4 years ago with one particular place. We made some site visits. I know we
Yeah,
take some
we
site
talked
visits to
about
have, and you put in the bylaws, the council put in the bylaws, that ability for us to make that charge if it becomes excessive. I think going in person and educating them, I think we have a pretty good handle on it now. I would say we have nothing abusive, but we do have that in our toolbox if something gets out of control. if it becomes abusive, so.
Thank you. Councilor Cormier-Ledger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the presentation. I want to echo what my fellow councilors say, that you guys do fantastic, fantastic work. The community's lucky to have you. I know that there has been a great deal of education campaign going on, particularly on social media, to explain to the public in Franklin about what you do, to explain the runs, to explain staffing, to explain mutual aid so that the public understands. Some of those threads have led to citizens being quite concerned for their safety. So I just would like, as I've talked to many of the fire personnel throughout the year, and EMS personnel, and they've assured me that there's no need for concern. However, they would certainly like additional staffing if at all possible. But can you assure the public or give some explanation to the public about, with our current staffing patterns, that everybody is in fact safe and everybody is going to get responded to? Because I think that is the assurance that most people want when they're sitting at home, that, hey, you know what, I just want to know if I call 911 that somebody's showing up, right? So leave that to you.
Through the chair, so if someone was that point blank asked me, are we short-staffed, I would say no. I would say if I came here in July of 19, there was 52 firefighters here. And if that was the case today, I would say we were short-staffed. But over the last 4 or 5 years, in July of 20, we added 4. 2 years after that, we added 2. And last year, as you know, we added 3. We're just trying to just stay with the data. We're just trying to hang in there with the data. Would I love to see a third full-time ambulance? Yes. But there's other departments that have needs and wants as well. We understand that. And that's why, like I mentioned before in the budget hearings last year, we made a deal with the union that we had that 1 year where we used a firefighter strictly days just to see if we could make it work. We're running thin. We're keeping up now, but based on our projections, which we think are accurate, in a couple of years, we should be at about 6,000 calls, and that's a different story in my opinion. I do think 463 calls is too much mutual aid. That's my opinion. And what's too much mutual aid, I think that's subjective. You folks might have a different opinion. The public might have a different opinion. For me, I think that's excessive. I think 295 is excessive. However, we're not understaffed. We're working hard. They do about 15 to 16 calls a day. They're busy. We attract firefighters that want to come here because we are busy. And the ones that don't want to be busy, they go, and that's fine with us. We take pride in that. But we just want to keep it to we just want to make sure we're maintaining the pace that the community is reaching out to us for service. And that's what we're trying to do. That's why we just want to give you the data, and we just want to plug along like we've been doing for the last several years, just to keep up with the pace in the most fiscally responsible manner. That's what we're trying to do. Hopefully it's coming across that way, but we are trying to do that to the best of our ability.
I don't think anybody would argue that you guys aren't fiscally responsible.
No,
and that you don't make the most out of every penny, especially seeing what you come to the capital committee with every year, because you can't make it work in your operating budget, which is a whole nother discussion, right? But I think what I'm hearing you saying, and I appreciate that you're looking at the big picture and that you're saying other departments have needs, but I think what I'm hearing you saying is for now we're good, but looking at the trends, a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, if things continue, we may need to look at an increase of a few more personnel to your department to keep up with those trends. That's what you're saying, correct?
Exactly,
Which
and just to
becomes a
reiterate.
budget issue.
Right, and we talking about the ambulance here, I get that, but it always goes back to that ladder company as well. That, if that truck doesn't go out every day making rescues out of third floor windows, but when you need it, you need it. And if that truck is dependent on that ambulance crew at headquarters to man it, which is becoming less and less likely to happen, that's when we're rolling the dice, and we're starting to roll the dice a little bit more. That's why that A3 is so important. We use that only when the first 2 ambulances are gone. That's a third one. So that way there's more coverage with that ladder company in case that fire call comes in. So this is centered on the ambulance, but it's a win-win for us with that third ambulance, because it's also helping us out with the ladder company.
Okay, my last question, Chief, because it seems to come up on social media quite a bit, with looking ahead with the increase of apartment buildings or apartment structures or large communities where we could have 200-300 units, the population going up slightly. Do you see that as a concern for your ability as a department to respond to those increases? Or again, right now, we're okay, and a year or 2 or 3 down the road, we might need to be having a different talk?
Not a concern, but it'll definitely bring more calls. I think that's reasonable to say without, that we'd have more calls. As far as the height of the, and buildings, with your approval, we got a new truck coming in here in April and May. We'll have a reserve truck here. We've got the equipment, we've got the training. We're ready to take care of anything that comes our way, for sure.
Great. Thank you. I hope everybody at home and on social media pays attention. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Cormier-Ledger. Councilor Pellegrini.
Through the chair, thank you for coming this evening and giving us this background. I think that, and I hope that a lot of people are watching this so they can certainly see what we have, what we may need, and your optimism. It's wonderful that you're able to take care of things the way that you do. Many of my questions were answered through my fellow counselors, but again, I just want to say thank you very much for coming and informing us about things so that we can give answers to people on the outside, that if they have concerns in that, we may be able to help them with some answers. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Councilor Delacour, did you have a
Yeah,
follow-up?
just to follow up, I get this question a lot, and I meant to, it kind of fell in with Councilor Mercer. Like, not just the old age homes, but when you get calls over and over again at a house, when does it become, what can you do, and because I get that question asked sometimes, like, because like you say, people are living longer, they might hit the button, they got those buttons now, and what, how do you handle that? That's it.
When someone calls 911, we respond.
Yeah, no, I understand
Regardless
that.
of how many times they've called us.
It doesn't matter.
We treat them with respect, we take care of their problems, and we get them to wherever they need to go.
Okay.
Every single
No,
time.
I get that question sometimes, and I'm not sure how to answer, but I know you guys respond to no matter what, but I was just kind of curious on that, how that was handled, yeah.
And
That's a-
one thing that has changed over the years is, you know, before private ambulances were around and they would pick up the slack, we could, say someone needed to go to Boston, we could call for a private ambulance to come pick them
Right.
up. The private ambulances don't come out anymore to do that because they need to have a medical necessity form filled out ahead of time and have insurance approve it. So, you know, sometimes, you know, people want to get to the hospital, they call and we take them. So we don't have the ability to have a private ambulance come in. And the skilled nursing facility in town had contracts with private ambulances in the past. They don't anymore because they don't exist. So we have had an increase in calls to the skilled nursing facilities, the assisted living facilities, and the urgent care here in town as well.
Okay.
So people go to urgent care, right? And they go there thinking that urgent care is going to be able to take care of them. If they have an acute medical need, the urgent care calls 911, and then we transfer them to the hospital.
Okay, no, I just, because I waited for a long time for an ambulance to go from Milford to Worcester.
Exactly.
That was a private ambulance.
So the other.
Chuck did a much better job when he drove me.
So the other part.
He drove you in the RV.
The other part of that is we have had to take patients, directly to, say, Brigham and Women's or into Mass General.
Really?
From the
Yeah.
field. Every time we do that, we have to call Milford Hospital and we get a physician on the line, we get medical control from them to get permission to bypass Milford Hospital. Because there are some cases that they want, if it's a specialty patient, they want them to get to the specialty hospital just for that reason, because they can't get an ambulance to transfer them. And that's a nationwide problem. That's not a Franklin problem.
Yeah.
That is happening all over the United States.
Well, it's just more work that you guys do that should be appreciated.
Yes.
So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Delacour. Are there any questions in the audience?
I do not like to
Name and address.
disappoint. Jane Calloway, Trip 607 Maple Street. I appreciate everything you do. And we've actually had to call you guys out a few times this year. And at one point, we had to have Medway come because you got 7 calls right as we were calling. So I get this, and I appreciate everything you do. but I'm gonna ask a hard question. The numbers that you gave for residents in this town, how many of those numbers for Upper Union Street Hotel for the migrant families?
Okay. The number was 68. We did 68 calls at the Migrant Hotel last year. And we're bound by HIPAA. We're not supposed to tell you which addresses we go to, but that is we can say that we responded there 68 times and we transported from there 68 times.
So out of that total number of responses, the rest were actually Franklin residents?
Exactly.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Please, Steve. Name and address, please.
Sure. Steve Sherlock, 13 Magnolia Drive. Thank you again for what your presentation was. I recall years ago when the third ambulance discussion started, the initial discussion had said at that time it was going to take 10 resources to put on the full staffing for third ambulance. You've acknowledged you've made some progress to that. So the question remains, at least in my mind, what's the delta for that third ambulance?
Through the chair, 4.
Four.
If we had 4 more, that would give us 15 on a shift, with 13 being the minimum, which would allow us to have the third ambulance in 24/7, 365.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Steve. Is there anyone else in council chambers with a question? Anyone out in Zoom land? Jamie, anything to add?
Nope.
Chief?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Captain?
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, moving on to legislation for action. We will go to bylaw amendment 25-924, a bylaw to amend the code of the town of Franklin at chapter 82, fees, municipal service. This is a first reading. Clerk will read the bylaw amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Bylaw Amendment 25-924, Chapter 82 Fees, Municipal Service, a bylaw to amend the Code of Town of Franklin at Chapter 82 Fees, Municipal Service, be it enacted by the Franklin Town Council at Chapter 82 of the Code of Town of Franklin is amended at Section 82-6, Schedule of Service Fees, subsection F, Fire, by striking the existing language and replacing it as set out below. Section 82-6, Schedule of Service Fees for Fire, service fee, and then the rate, ambulance fees, ALS base rate 1, struck 2,464 for new 2,583. ALS base rate struck 3,571 for new 3,684. BLS rate struck 1,694 for a new rate of 1,769. Commercial care facilities without transport, $935. Mileage struck $39, new $41. This bylaw amendment shall become effective on and after March 1st of 2025.
Move zoning bylaw amendment 25-924 to a second reading.
It's not a zoning bylaw.
Yeah.
It's
Bylaw.
not zoning, it's just bylaw.
Just bylaw.
Well, I got zoning bylaw, but that's
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion on the motion. Jamie?
So through you, Mr. Chairman, just on the piggyback of the presentation we have, just as a reminder to all of you and for those at home, every February or March or so, after the data that's collected by the fire department, we look at the rates of ALS and BLS rates within the region, and through Comstar and through Laurie and Billy, we try to always aim for the rates that are in the middle of the road. And so sometimes those adjustments are a little more, sometimes they're a little less. One year, we didn't even have to make an adjustment. This year, the proposal before you is to update Chapter 82, the fee schedule, to make sure that our ALS and BLS rates are smack dab in the regional consortium right in the middle. So this reflects what the market rates are right now for the cost of service. And just as an anecdote, I just did the calculation. These ALS and BLS rates with the revenues that you just saw on that slide account for about 35% of the entire cost of the fire department each year. So to Councilor Cormier Ledger's questions earlier about finance, You know, as he said, you know, we can't always fund the capital gear in the budget, but, you know, these rates are paying for over a third of the entire cost of the fire department. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jamie. Questions or comments from the council?
Can we hear him say market rate again?
I've never had that happen in my life.
It was pretty good.
That was pretty thick, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Medford like?
Somewhere that R got lost.
It might have been the fire chief. Maybe he was just having a little bit of an effect on me a little
He is
bit.
from Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the council? Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to move bylaw amendment 25-924 to a second reading. A majority votes required. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on. Resolution 25-10, adoption of the 2025 master plan for the town of Franklin. Clerk will read the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Resolution 25-10, adoption of the 2025.
Motion to waive the reading.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion second to waive the reading. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Okay, I probably should have put this on under presentations. But I didn't, and the amendment actually, I'm sorry, the agenda actually got sent out before I realized I didn't. So what I've asked Councilor Jones to do, who is the chairman of the master plan committee, and Councilor Frangillo is the vice chair, I've asked to make a presentation during this discussion portion of the resolution. So with that, I'm going to ask Councilor Jones to,
Will do, Mr. Chairman.
if you do your best to keep it under 3 hours, then we'd appreciate it.
No promises, Mr. Chairman.
I know a lot of time and effort's been put into this through the master plan committee, and just so that everybody understands, by law, the only committee that needs to vote the master plan is the planning board. We don't need to as a council, but we are, because of the work that's been put into this by the master plan committee over the last 16 months. It's been a long time. But a lot of good work's gone into it, and I wanted to make sure that the council had an opportunity to see the work that's gone into it and where we are. So with that, Councilor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, fellow councilors, Town of Franklin, and all of our wonderful friends who are in the audience tonight. First off, before I start my presentation, I did want to point out the slide up on the projector. All of the fellow councilors received a link to this document. You were not given a printed copy of this. Why? Because it's 295 pages long. What you see before you tonight is a lot of hard work. This is what the public feels the town of Franklin should be like in the next 10 years. So, with that, let me get started. Mr. Chairman and councilors, on January 4th of 2023, the town council voted to establish the Master Plan Update Committee, which was charged for updating the 2013 townwide master plan. The committee established 5 subcommittees, which I'm going to introduce in my slide. Now, as you so eloquently mentioned, Mr. Chairman, last Monday, the Master Plan Update Committee presented this 295-page document for approval by the Planning Board, and it was a unanimous vote to approve. So tonight, I'm presenting to you the final draft of the master plan. My agenda for tonight, I have some acknowledgements, quite a few of them actually. Just a quick introduction and talk about community engagement. I will not be covering the mission statement and the community. I will mention the community vision. There are a significant amount of master goals, which like you said, this would easily take me more than a few hours to talk about those, as well as the implementation plan. So this is the shortened version of what I gave last week to the planning board. So first off, a special thank you to all of those who have helped develop the Franklin 2025 master plan. This plan is vital to the community's health, well-being, and growth, providing clarity of vision and a comprehensive approach for addressing all areas of our community development. First off, town council members, myself as the chair, Councilor Colby Frangillo was the vice chair, Councilor Melanie Hamblin, who unfortunately couldn't make it tonight because she's away, she was the clerk. Planning board members, Jennifer Williams, Mr. Rick Power, from the Conservation Commission, Meg Hagan, from the Zoning Board of Appeals, Bruce Hunchard, and our citizen representations, Aaron Gallagher, Eric Stelzer, Gino Carlucci, Janelle Lang, Joseph Halligan, and Mr. Kenneth Elmore from Dean College. Now, first off, I just want to pause right there just to make a quick statement. These folks have spent countless hours of their own personal time volunteering to make what you see before you tonight happen. It was either during regular master plan meetings or during subcommittee meetings or on their own time during various events, going out on their own, getting their own feedback from the public. And I want to, from my heart, really truly thank them for all of the efforts they've put into making this what it is. This plan also would not have been possible without the assistance and guidance of the Franklin Department of Planning and Community Development, who provided valuable input, aid, and technical assistance to this project. And in addition, all the employees in the departments in Franklin offered their keen insight and information that informed the decision-making of the Master Plan Update Committee. From the Department of Planning and Community Development, Mr. Brian Taberner, who is the director, and Amy Love, the town planner. Now, I pause on Amy just for a second. Where's Amy?
Other side, man.
This young lady right over here, I want to make a quick note. She was basically, if you can think of conductors in a symphony, she was that conductor. She's the one who pulled many of the strings to try to put all of this together. She worked closely with the consultants. She worked closely with myself, as well as all the various departments to truly make this become what this is tonight. And I wanted to thank Amy for all of her hard work. Also, as part of our group, we had some outside consultants that were major key players in the drafting of the document, whether it had to do with the writing specific things as implementation, as well as the adoption, and as well as a whole bunch of other things that they did. Jill Slankus, Jill is online. Want to say hi, Jill?
Oh.
I think she's there.
Takes a second to load up.
No, there she goes. Did you get her?
Hello, Glenn, to the council. Pleasure to be here. It was an honor to work on this project. All the credit to the folks in Franklin. As Glenn had alluded to, the master plan committee, town staff, planning department, just outstanding. It was always fun to be in Franklin and interact with the public as well. So wonderful effort, honor to be a part of it, and looking forward to hearing great things going forward.
Thank you, Jill, and thank you for all your hard work. And if you see Jeff Maxdousis, who's from Beta, please thank him for all of his hard time as well. All right, so introduction. The Master Plan Committee held over 27 public meetings as a group, with an additional 60 public meetings, work sessions within the various subcommittees. A few of the major community engagement efforts that we made from the beginning were informational interviews. We had a bicycle tour. Councilor Frangillo spearheaded many of these events. The SNET walking trail. There was a library open house. We had a public survey that was sent out late in the end of 23 and beginning of 24. We had a very well-attended open house event that was hosted by Dean College, and we had various public presentations. The vision of the master plan document, our vision of Franklin, is to be a vibrant, inclusive, pluralistic, innovative, and sustainable community. Now, this is our mission statement, but in lieu of time, I'm going to skip reading the mission statement, but this is what guided us through the process. There are 6 pillar goals, or overarching goals, of the Franklin Master Plan. In no particular order, they are housing diversity, complete neighborhoods, neighborhood connectivity, a vibrant downtown, natural and historic conservation and accessibility, and resource efficiencies. So in order to meet these, we have what's called the master plan goals. They are the objectives that a community aims to achieve through implementation of a master plan. The goals are typically broad and long-term in nature, and they guide the implementation of policies and strategies that will help achieve these goals. A goal being something that's timely, achievable, relevant, we give education, and ultimately it takes teamwork. So of those, the main master plan goals, this comes straight from the state legislation. These are the required areas. We added one extra: economic development, housing, land use, natural culture and historic resources, open space and recreation, community services and facilities, traffic and circulation, and of course our newest one, sustainability. So in order to meet these goals, we set up 5 subcommittees. So the Franklin Master Plan Committee consisted of 13 volunteer members, and the committee members also took on roles as part of subcommittees that focused on the major topics. Now what's kind of keen to note, and I put it in the slide, is each part of the master plan is color-coded. Like for instance, housing is purple. Economic development is blue. The Housing and Economic Development Committee subcommittee was chaired by Mr. Eric Stelzer, co-chair with Rick Power and Mr. Joe Halligan. As well as Kobe Frangillo and Bruce Hunchard. The Community Services, Facilities, and Circulation, which I've been told is supposed to be one of the best subcommittees.
The single best.
I get that. I don't know. We had this weird competition going on between the various chairs of the subcommittees as to which one was the best. I don't know. Councilor Frangillo seems to think the bike tours and stuff that they did was beating us. But anyways, the Community Services and Facility Circulation Subcommittee was chaired by Kobe Frangillo. Aaron Gallagher and Janelle Lang were also on that subcommittee. The Open Space and Recreation, Natural, Cultural, and Historic Resources. That's a very lengthy one. We called that the OSRNCHR Subcommittee. That was chaired by Meg Hagan. I was on it, as well as Melanie Hamlin and Rick Power. The Land Use and Zoning, one of our largest subcommittees, was chaired by Janelle Lang. They had members Gino Carlucci, Aaron Gallagher, Joe Halligan, Bruce Hunchard, and Jennifer Williams. Our newest subcommittee, which was added in as a new goal, was our Sustainability Subcommittee, which was chaired by Mr. Gino Carlucci, along with members Melanie Hamlin and Eric Stelzer. That's basically the summarized version of what I presented last week, but I did want to touch base a little bit on what is known as the implementation program. The implementation program elements define and schedule the specific municipal actions that are necessary to achieve the objectives of each element of the master or study plan. Now, if you notice, I threw in just a couple of the slides from the document. There are quite a few of these goals and objectives that you will see in this document. This is ultimately a culmination of feedback that we received from the public. So as far as I'm concerned, this is the public's opinion. This is our community's ultimate goals and objectives on where they would like to see the town of Franklin be in the next 10 or 15 years. And with that, I'll take any questions, Mr. Chairman. See that? Wait a minute.
Nice job, bud.
I am impressed. Thank you, Councilor.
I do this all day.
I was ready.
I'm sure you're good.
I was ready to leave.
Okay, questions, comments from the council?
Just thank you, really, thank you. All of you, Colby, everyone that was on there, everyone out there, thank you. It seems like it was a lot of work, but it came out very good. So, thank you.
Councilor Cormier-Ledger.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Councilor Jones, congratulations to you as the chair of this group and to all the members here tonight that were part of the committee and the subcommittee. Those amount of meetings and public engagement was staggering over the last year and a half, and to pull together a nearly 300-page document that's going to guide us for the next 10 years. Incredibly impressive, but thank you, because I know how much work you put into it, so thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Cormier-Ledger. I will state one simple, obvious fact. I was just a guide. I was there to help, help move the meetings through, but really, ultimately, it's the group that worked with the subcommittees that really helped bring a lot of this together, and they were the meat and potatoes of all of this. I'm just the old fork that sits in the corner.
Thank you, Councilor Cormier-Ledger. Any other councilors?
Just thank you, yeah.
Jamie?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too want to piggyback, and it's not just a pat on the back, but, this was one of those where I actually didn't have to do any of the work. And so I really mean this. I haven't had to talk about the master plan in a year and a half, and not just thank you to Glenn and Kobe and Melanie and all the group and the whole board, but not just all the hours of the meetings, but the outreach sessions, the downtown partnership meetings, the charrettes, the feedback, the surveys. The entire committee went into this process, and when we recommended the members to the council, everybody had just such an incredible passion for this, and I really cannot commend Glenn enough. From day one, he wanted to do this so badly, and he put his heart and soul, and Councilor Frangillo, everybody put their heart and soul into this. And thank you for taking this off my plate for a year and a half, but also now I guess you just put a 300-page document on my plate. And really, sincerely, congratulations to the whole committee and to the whole community. Thousands of survey results came in on this. This really, I think, to your point, Councilor Jones, represents a really comprehensive feedback on a whole series of issues throughout the community for the next 10 or 20 years. So a huge congratulations to the whole committee and all of you for an incredible job. And a great job, well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Councilor Jones, Councilor Frangillo, Councilor Hamblin, who's not here, and certainly every member of that committee, and our administrative team, Amy Love and Brian Tavernier from the planning department. We just can't thank you enough. These master plans, I know a lot of people don't understand or know what they're all about, but they really are a guide for us to move into the future. And ours was 10 years old and was in need of being updated. And Councilor Jones and I had a few meetings early on, and it's something Councilor Jones really wanted to do, was to lead this committee. And I think Councilor Jones and Councilor Frangillo did a wonderful job of leading that committee and doing a fantastic job, bringing back a 300-page document to get unanimous approval from the planning board to move forward. I just can't thank everybody enough. And along the way, Councilor Jones, you were constantly keeping me updated, and Councilor Frangillo as well, keeping me updated as to where they were, what issues they were having, but they were able to work through everything and get everything done. So just thank you so much. And I know a lot of your team is sitting in the audience this evening, and I'd like them to stand up.
Sure.
And be acknowledged, please. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I will make one comment before I go back to my seat.
I'd be surprised.
I know, why not? Why not? Can't just let this nail go in the coffin quite yet. Mr. Chairman, I think ultimately what we see before us tonight is yet a plan that ultimately I think the council as a whole should be able to take and actually start almost sooner than later, looking at some of these new goals and adding them to our list of council goals, community goals, so that we can hopefully address some of these things sooner than later. And there's obviously funding and other things that go in behind this as well. So, hi.
I'm joining you, Mr. Chairman. If you don't mind.
Absolutely,
through the chair,
Amy, please.
I just want to compliment, Glenn's been a great chairman. He has kept on top of things, even when I nag him about all the subcommittees, and then he gets to nag all the subcommittee chairs. This group of 13 people has been wonderful to work with. They've put their heart and soul in this. We've spent so many meetings and so many nights, and I just want to say thank you. And I want to say thank you to my whole committee. It's been a great experience, and I really look forward to moving forward with the master plan, and thank you all. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments?
People got their hands up. People got
Max.
Max, please unmute.
Hello, everyone. I guess I don't have video, but that's okay. I just want to acknowledge the commitment to transparency. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, yeah, we can.
Okay, great. I just wanted to acknowledge the commitment to transparency by the Master Plan Committee. I think I was at the open house at Dean College. It was like a festival committed to putting people's input into this plan, along with the surveys and all the hard work. I think Representative Roy actually had the pleasure of doing the plan in 2013, and he did an amazing job. But I think not only did this team knock it out of the park, but they knocked it over to the next park. So I really just want to, send my warm regards, because I think the process was good, and I think that the town council and other committees, if we could apply what they learned about transparency and apply it to other committees, so we could sort of make people feel like they trust those committees and have input into those committees. I think we can learn those lessons and apply them. I think that would be great for the town. Also, I just want to acknowledge, like I said, like people were saying, I hope this doesn't just end up on the shelf somewhere. I hope we stick with it and sort of use it to make a difference in the next 10 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Max.
Oh, and I didn't say my name. 127 Central Park Terrace. Thank you.
Thank you, Max. Is there, does Jill have her hand up, or was it up from before?
Usually it was up from before.
Yeah, it was up from before. Okay, seeing no further discussion, the vote will come on the motion to approve Resolution 25-10, a majority votes required. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Once again, thank you one and all. Okay, next item on the agenda is Resolution 25-04, Capital Improvement Plan. Clerk will read the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Resolution 25-04, Capital Fiscal Year 25 Appropriation. Total amount requested from free cash, $2,998,500. Got my tongue twisted. Water retained earnings, $210,000. Sewer retained earnings, $830,000. The purpose, Mr. Chairman, is to appropriate the funds for the 2025 Capital Improvement Plan. There is a department, there is a description, and then there's a category and amount to go with it. For the schools, a sped van ×2 vehicles, $155,000. Beta traffic design, site improvements, $190,000. Security improvements at the Franklin Middle School, technology, $150,000. Moving services for PFS reorganization services, $340,000. Phase 1 school facilities projects under infrastructure, $100,000. OPM services for Remington Jefferson School improvements infrastructure, $250,000, for a total under schools of $1,185,000. For facilities, designer services for new police station infrastructure, $175,000. Facilities DPW storage system infrastructure, $30,000. Senior center sprinkler system infrastructure, $250,000. Level 3 DC electrical vehicle charging equipment, $25,000, for a total of $480,000 under facilities. Technology, town employee laptop replacements under technology, $60,000. Fire, radio repeaters, comparators, equipment, $71,000. Structural fire and EMS protective clothing equipment, $105,000. Portable radios under equipment, $12,000. Incident support rehab units, equipment, $105,000. Automated external defibrillators or AEDs, equipment, $27,000. Polaris UTV with firefighting skid unit, vehicle, $52,000 for a total under fire, $372,000. Police vehicles, 5 of them. Under vehicles, $393,000. Electronic control weapons, tasers, equipment, $31,000. Protective body armor, under equipment, $20,000. Technology office equipment, technology, $10,500 for police, $454,500. Under DPW, 6-wheel dump truck with sander and plow under vehicles, $280,000. A 4x4 pickup truck under vehicles, $62,000. A 3-ton asphalt roller under equipment, $45,000. Downtown beautification under infrastructure, $50,000 for a total of $437,000 for DPW. Under arts and culture, upgrade, enhance franklincultural.org website under technology, $10,000. Total free cash appropriation of $2,998,500. Under water enterprise, replacements of W21 treatment truck under vehicles, $95,000. Meter replacements under technology, $100,000. Town fuel system upgrade under infrastructure, $15,000. Total water retained earnings appropriation of $210,000. Under sewer enterprise, replacement of W22. Vehicle, $75,000. Sewer rehabilitation under infrastructure, $500,000. Replace control systems, infrastructure, $500,000. Replace control systems, infrastructure, $250,000. Town fuel system upgrade under infrastructure, $5,000. Total sewer retained earnings under appropriation, $830,000. Finance committee actions, meeting on January 15, 2025, it was a unanimous vote to recommend $4,038,500. Motion be it moved and voted by the town council that the sum of $2,908,500 be appropriated for free cash, $210,000 be appropriated for water retained earnings, $830,000 be appropriated from sewer retained earnings to be expended at the discretion of the town administrator for the fiscal year 2025 capital improvement plan as outlined above, including any residual funds remaining in these line items. This resolution should become effective according to the provisions of the Town of Franklin Home Rule Charter.
Move resolution 25-04.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion on the motion. Jamie
I just
wants
want to
that,
thank.
Then I want to go to.
I just want to thank Councilor Jones for reading all of that and sparing me having to do it. Honestly, I think that summarizes it all. As Councilor Jones referenced, the Finance Committee did unanimously support this plan. They held about a 2-hour meeting. All the department heads came in before that Finance Committee meeting in February or January, and I know Councilor Pellegrini will speak to the same with the Capital Subcommittee. All the department heads came in here for a 2-hour meeting, I think last week or last couple of weeks, with a unanimous support from the Capital Subcommittee as well. So there's full support here. The department heads are here to answer anybody's questions if anybody has them. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Councilor Pellegrini.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Glenn. I thought I was gonna have to read all of this tonight, and you just went on and on and on and on, and I really do appreciate that. I just want to say that our meeting went very well for the Capitol, and all of the department heads and anyone that had anything on this came before us and explained everything in detail. So although Councilor Jones went through this quickly, our meeting did not go quickly. It was very good, with each explaining every single thing that needed to be done. And it worked out very, very well. And I think that perhaps if the town administrator explained free cash, because I don't want people at home right now saying, oh, they had $4 million they didn't know what to do with, and they're giving it away, because that is not the case. That's not true.
It's a fantastic question, Councilor Pellegrini, and I think Councilor Cormier-Ledger also asked the meeting, if I don't get through every piece of it right now, or if people get bored, you can also look at the Finance Committee meeting and the Capital Subcommittee meeting where I've answered these questions. So for the social media fans out there, just look up the YouTube clip where we're going to explain it. Also in the packet, I would reference, there is an explanation of free cash written in there, and we also have a 20-year history of free cash in Franklin. So to Max's point earlier, all the data is right out there available for anybody to see. So free cash, is basically certified by the Commonwealth. And basically, it's mainly 95% comes from 2 buckets of revenue. So free cash each year comes from all of the 35 or so line items in the municipal budget only, from the departments like DPW, fire, but also the boards and committees like the council, FinCom, and cultural district committee. There's about 35 or 40 accounts on the municipal side. Any money that is unspent during the fiscal year, okay, goes basically off after June 30th. We have to report that revenue to the state, and we have to show the receipts of what was not spent, and it gets certified. Our auditors also look at those data every year as well. That goes into our annual audit. So that revenue source number 1 is from there. So people may say, well, what do you not spend during the year? We also go through this at the Finance Committee every year on what's called year-to-date and actuals, which are business terms that many people are probably familiar with.
Yeah.
So maybe in the middle of the year, a laborer at the DPW in October takes a new job somewhere else, and we don't fill that position for 2 months. There's salary that is left over that was left unspent, and we have to report every dollar of that to both our auditors and the Commonwealth to get certified. So that's bucket number 1. Bucket number 2 is generally from local receipts. So if you look at the budget, we have an estimate amount that comes in every year for, say, meals tax or hotel tax or ambulance receipts, recreation receipts, revenues for liquor license. So we say this year we have, for example, 40 liquor licenses in town. And then 2 new restaurants come in, and that's another $3,000 per license. And then that's $6,000 that was not anticipated when we did the budget in right now for next year. We didn't anticipate a couple of restaurants opening up next fiscal year. Or we didn't anticipate a housing development. Or we didn't anticipate a building permit. Ryan may not have anticipated a popularity of a program. There's literally dozens upon dozens or even hundreds of accounts of where this revenue comes in. And if those benchmarks are exceeded, motor vehicle excise tax, meals tax, cannabis excise tax, if those revenues are exceeded, those are unaccounted for revenues that then, for dollar, we report to the state of Massachusetts at the end of the fiscal year. And then by about October of every year, we calculate all that. We go through a process through our CFO and our finance team, and we go through and look at all revenues that were not accounted for from the previous fiscal year that we took in control. We report those to the state. They essentially ratify or confirm those data, and then what they do is they quote unquote certify our free cash every year. It comes in about Halloweenish or in November, depending on the year. It could be a Medicare payment that we didn't anticipate. It could be a variety of things. Some of the federal stimulus money that was going through FEMA that we didn't get paid for 4 years from the pandemic. We're actually still getting a small sliver of that back right now. I know it's hard to believe, but we're just about to get the last payment that we didn't anticipate, and that will go in and certify for next year's free cash. So those give you an idea of about 95+% of where free cash comes from. And that's why managing our municipal budgets and making sure that we still are business friendly to some degree is still really important for our revenues. Because obviously if we did not have this revenue, we would not be able to fund the capital gear that you see here. And I think as councilors have said before, not only for the schools where they get usually about $1 million a year in capital funding for various things in curriculum, technology, Chromebooks, special education vans, redistricting, all of that stuff, but it also protects our public safety by getting the police cruisers, dump trucks for the DPW, and so forth and so on. So the last thing I'll say to this, because I know this question has come up at your committee meeting, Councilor Pellegrini, but also at the Finance Committee meeting, the school department is basically under a whole set of different state laws. They do their own process with the Department of Education at the state level. So when they have unspent money, which is very rare and very little each year in the budget, they have to report that through the Department of Education and get certified by DESE. Usually that money gets encumbered for the following fiscal year. They go through the same process with what we call local receipts for us, ambulance receipts earlier tonight. They go through the same process with their revolving funds. All of those monies are fully under the control of the school committee and are authorized by state law to be authorized and appropriated by the school committee. And I know Mr. Chairman Mercer says this every year. The town budget is just one piece of that pie. Once you authorize the number, and all of those other revenues that go are under the spending authority of the school committee. And so it's very important. I really do appreciate the 5 minutes to try to bring this to light, because I think while there's an audience here and hopefully some folks at home, it can't be said enough, I think, for all of you, and that's why you're bringing up this question, Councilor Pellegrini, so that people really have, you know, a 5-minute clip that they can put on YouTube or on social media and just explain in kind of yeoman's terms where free cash and how that gets certified and the difference between the school revenues and the town revenues. Thank you.
I'm so happy that you explained it this way. And because I think people think we just have some money and we pull it out of a hat, that we're able to give this department, that department, and it's not like that at all. And there's a lot of work behind this to get to this amount and for it to be certified as free cash from the state. So thank you for that explanation.
Thank you.
It's very good. And just thank the committee, you know, that worked on this. And that's about it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Pellegrini. Any other questions or comments from the council? Councilor Cormier-Ledger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Councilor Pellegrini, for your leadership on this, and thank you, Jamie, for your comments. I just want to reiterate to the public that municipal departments could have chosen maybe a different road with their requests. They could have looked at this differently and said, yeah, you know what, we're busting our humps, we're bringing in local receipts, we're running more ambulance runs, we're out there getting extra licenses, we're killing ourselves on all this stuff, we're gonna request, and the schools can fend for themselves and do their request through their revolving funds, but they didn't do that. So I want it to be said that we are truly working as a town, as an entity, to support each other, because I think that is very important. The fact that all of the other departments put a list together of only their critical needs, and then said, you know what, the school department needs 1.2 million for what they need to do, and we're okay with that. That to me is teamwork, and that is leadership, and that is to be commended. So for all of the people out there who consistently like to be the keyboard warriors on Facebook and say that, you know, the municipal side and the school side are fighting and they're not supporting each other, it's just not true. And I hope that this document shows that we are better when we work together and that we have a lot to be very, very thankful for. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Cormier-Ledger. Councilor Frangillo.
Yeah, just, maybe it's to the police chief, maybe it's to DPW. A question about vehicle replacement strategies. What is our, you know, we sort of allude to a vehicle replacement strategy. What is that? Maybe DPW could speak to that.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, through you.
Just introduced.
Yeah, Brutus Kennereggi, DPW Director. This is Jay Stearns. He's our fleet manager down there. And we have a program in place that, you know, all the vehicles obviously have a certain time frame, and we have a myriad of vehicles, everything from cars to trucks. And for example, one of the vehicles we're replacing this year is a 1999, and it's pretty much rusted out, and it just doesn't, you know, it's a Salter. And it was a dump truck at one time, then we took the body off it, then we made it a dedicated sander, and it's just past its life expectancy, so, you know, we're going forward. But any specific question, Jay has done a great job over the last 5 years, since he's been foreman, since he got promoted, is basically every vehicle, we track everything on it, the costs and everything that goes along with it. So, you know, when we're requesting something, we really need it, and typically we're at the point now they don't pass inspection.
Correct.
Yeah, so.
And parts aren't available.
Yeah, tell your story about milling parts and what you do now.
Yeah, we've gone to a point, Jay Stearns, fleet manager. We've gone to a point where some of our vehicles, the parts aren't available, not just through the manufacturer, but through aftermarket sources as well. So in an effort to keep a vehicle moving, we've actually even taken parts out, physically blueprinted the part, brought it to a local machine shop. The machine shop machined the part just so we can keep the truck rolling to get through another fiscal year. There's not other municipalities doing that. We have the luxury of having some phenomenal technicians on our staff, the ability to do that, to blueprint a part enough to factory specs to keep a vehicle moving. So we are getting longer life expectancies in some municipalities and even the state with 20 to 25 years out of these vehicles, well beyond what, I think the general is 15 years, so.
Yeah, I guess my follow-up question was gonna be something about that. Do we have any sense of how we compare to other municipalities, what the average lifespans of some of these vehicles are? And just ensure that we, you know, what we're finding, how long we're finding our vehicles to last is in line with.
We're way past it. Jay uses a lot of national standards from, you know, American Public Works Association, but our biggest issue is salt and rust and corrosion, you know, particularly in the Northeast. So I think everybody, I mean, how many people around here are still driving around 99 cars? I mean, there are some, don't get me wrong, but typically they're rotated through. So, yeah, that's what we do, and we've been a long-standing you know, I think I've told you, we've gotten, you know, tried to save money, we've gotten away from a lot of diesel and the small trucks, because we just don't get the mileage out of them, that, you know, so we stay with the gas, which are cheaper. We use the stainless steel bodies now that we can actually rotate from truck to truck, so when the truck wears out, the frame, the stainless steel body we can use on you know, have it fabricated for a new truck. So we're really trying to make it last as long as possible.
And we do the inspection and maintenance for the police cruisers ourselves?
Yes, we do every department.
All departments?
All
Okay.
departments, yeah. The fire department, we don't do apparatus, because that's certified repairs.
Yeah.
But we do everything from town hall vehicles, police vehicles,
Yeah.
specialty vans for the school department, DPW, inspectional services, engineering. We do anything that has an engine or moves in the town of Franklin goes through 3 technicians in our shop. We have over 300 pieces of equipment and vehicles to include trailers, and that gets done by 3 guys.
How many registered?
We have 172 registered
Vehicles.
vehicles.
And that's not counting rollers, that's not counting mowers, that's not counting weed whackers, that's not counting generators. I mean, it's just, the equipment just goes on and on.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna be able to bill for everything.
With 3 guys.
3 guys,
Yeah.
yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
3 people. Yeah, no, very impressive. Appreciate you enlightening us. That was helpful. Thanks.
Just to follow up on Councilor Frangillo's question, what's life expectancy of a police cruiser? I don't know whether it's Jay or Chief or...
I mean, the chief can speak to the specialty on the police crews themselves. So we even reassign police vehicles. So even though they may be a marked unit, and even some of the unmarked units, we'll move them about and find ways to get the most out of the vehicles.
Thanks, Chief.
Sure. I mean, like they said, it's a combination of both the mileage on the cars themselves, how old they are, and the mileage itself. There's a lot of times the cars are basically an idle, you know, just sitting there on the side of the road waiting for, you know, somebody to drive by. So you gotta add about 40%, you know, which is pretty small. I mean, you could add even more, but about 40% of the mileage you could add to that existing mileage, and that would be the actual engine miles that are on the car. But just for instance, I mean, one of the cars is a 2016. It's 9 years old. It's an unmarked unit. 2 of the cars are 2018s. They're 7 years old. When I first started, we had cars for 2 years, and then they were functionally dead because we ran them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. Now we have 31 vehicles and no more than 2 officers riding a cruiser. So that's how we can get 6 to 8 years out of a motor vehicle. I don't think there's anything else. We could go to a complete take-home vehicle program. That is the best thing that you could possibly do, but we don't have the money to do that.
Probably not going to be there in the very near future.
This is right. What we've done is the second best thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the
That's
other
perfect.
part.
Thanks.
Councilor DeLarco.
Thank you. So a 99, I get 5 years out of my vehicles over at Massport. Granted, we're on the ocean a little bit more, so we get it, but my dumps and stuff, they don't last long at all. And we wash them like you do, I imagine. We wash them after every storm.
And we do midlife repairs as well. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no.
But if we have a dump truck that's 10 to 12 years old, we allocate funds to be able to sandblast, paint, to extend the life of that vehicle twice what we're supposed to have. That gives us the ability to, when they sandblast it, we can target, is there frame repairs necessary? Are we just doing body repairs? Is there paint? And so that gives us fiscal responsibility for not having to spend money on trucks that are to the point of when we just got $280,000. So it might only cost us $15,000 to save that $280,000 and push it out an additional 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, you can rehab them, that works out too, but we have a major rehab program going on in Massport starting this summer, which is all on the old vehicles, the plows and stuff like that. This is the first time we ever did it. This ought to be interesting, but to say, no, just to say, these things are just beasts. But as far as the cruiser goes, the idle time is the worst time. It's awful to these vehicles. I mean, especially the Fords with the phases and all that stuff. I'm changing them all the time. Water pumps and cam frames or water pumps. They're not easy anymore to work on either, so, I mean, you're doing a great job with 3 guys down there, I can tell you that, because I got 14. But I got 1,000 vehicles too, though, so, but.
Credit to the program too, because when we buy the police cruisers, they're all bought with extended warranties through Ford. So that saves a lot of money as well. We always get a great return on that investment for our extended warranties. It gives us the ability for not just powertrain, but other emissions portions that get extended as well, so.
Great. Thank you, Jay. Any other, Councilor Jones?
This is not fire or DPW. This is facilities question.
Gentlemen,
Thank you
very
very
much.
Appreciate it. You guys do a great job. Mr. Chairman, through you to, I believe it's Jamie. Just a quick question. I apologize. I wasn't on the town council committee for capital. The level 3 DC EV charger, where's that going?
I believe they're at the, I believe some are at the municipal building. I believe some are gonna be at the high school. And that is the modest investment we have to do to get the $850,000 from National Grid incentives to be able to put those in. And then people look at me, which came up at one of the meetings, I don't know if it was yours or the finance, how many dollars worth of EV chargers we're putting in? But that's also to run the conduit, the wire, dig up the sidewalk, the concrete, do the repairs. So that's not just $850,000 in actual chargers,
No, I
right?
understand.
You know, but most people have asked that question to me, so while you asked it, Councilor Jones, I thought I'd make sure I clarified.
No, I appreciate that. As a person who's put in several dozens of these myself, I am curious to wonder why it says level 3. These are high voltage chargers, like the ones that are down at
And they'll be,
Stop
yeah,
and Shop?
and they'll be charged, they'll be paid a charge.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll talk about that more during the budget session about the revenue, but.
And just one quick note, Mr. Chairman, and I'm pretty sure it was pointed out at some point during the discussion, is that this is a capital expense. So just for clarification to the public, I know I've stated it many times in the past. This has nothing to do with operational budget items. This doesn't go toward salaries. This doesn't go to pay for somebody's stipends, or this can't be appropriated into the budget for offsetting school or other type of facilities expenses. It's solely for capital purposes. And many of the things that I see here tonight, these are obvious things that need to be replaced, and I'm 100% in support of Mr. Chairman. That's my only 2 cents. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Jones. I just have one thing I want to clarify, because I happened to be, I watched the capital subcommittee meeting the other night, and I don't want the community to be misled. The senior center, the $250,000, I can see how people might have walked away from that meeting thinking that that was the fix for the senior center. That's not the fix. It's part of the fix.
Help.
And what that $250,000 is getting us is the blown-in insulation and a design of a fix for the sprinkler system, or a redesign of the sprinkler system, putting a wet system in and getting rid of the dry system. But that's for the for the insulation and getting the design for the ultimate complete fix, which will take more dollars to complete that. So I just didn't want people to think that $250,000 was gonna fix that completely, because that's not the case.
It'll help.
It will help,
Yeah,
it will
it'll
help,
help.
for sure. And it's what we needed to get done. But I just wanted to make sure that people weren't thinking that that was a complete fix. Okay, any other questions on capital? Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve Resolution 25-04. A majority votes required. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 25-02, statewide opioid settlement fund appropriation. Clerk will read the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Resolution 25-02, appropriation for statewide opioid settlement fund. Total amount requested, $397,000. The purpose to appropriate from the statewide opioid settlement fund in the amount of $397,000 to pay for the following: $56,000 for 2 one-year contracts with William James Interface Referral Services, $200,000 for 2 one-year contracts with Safe Coalition, $85,000 for 2 one-year contracts with Gillies House, $56,000 for 2 one-year contracts with the Art Pharmacy. This is motion be it moved and voted by the Town Council of the Town of Franklin that the sum of $397,000 be appropriated as indicated above from the statewide opioid settlement fund for the stated purposes. This resolution shall become effective according to the provisions of the Town of Franklin Home Rule Charter.
Move resolution 25-02.
Motion and a second. Discussion on the motion. Amy?
Yes.
Amy.
Good evening. I just wanted to go over our plan for the opioid settlement funds for this year, and then also I put in the memo, you know, what we intend to do with the funds beyond the next couple of years. As some of you may recall, Massachusetts participated in nationwide financial settlements with several companies as part of the legal efforts to demand abatement from the harms caused by the opioid epidemic. Franklin opted into these settlements with the Commonwealth, which combined will bring over $900 million into Massachusetts for substance use prevention, harm reduction, treatment, and recovery support. Of that funding, approximately $1.7 million is allocated to Franklin to be distributed in various allotments throughout calendar years 2022 through 2038. So far, the town has received approximately $528,000 in opioid settlement funds, of which $130,000 has been spent on $67,000 going towards the Safe Coalition, and then the last 2 years, we spent $35,000 on the William James Interface Referral Program that the schools utilize. It's also open to the town as well, and then $28,000 that we're in contract now with William James, same referral program. We currently have almost $400,000 to be allocated, and we're proposing tonight to draw down that surplus and allocate the remaining funds to the organizations that the clerk just mentioned, $200,000 to the Safe Coalition, $85,000 to Gillies House, $56,000 to Art Pharmacy, and $56,000 to William James to continue that program going. And then we are working with the Franklin Police Department on allocating the remaining $1.2 million that we will receive in 2025 and beyond to 2038 to use that towards the co-response program. Just supplementing that program to keep it going with approximately $100,000 for those 10 years of those remaining funds. So we have individuals from those programs here tonight. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer questions as well.
Thank you, Amy. Questions or comments from the council? Councilor Cormier Ledger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, Amy, thank you for the summary. Many of us are familiar, obviously, with the Safe Coalition being, their headquarters in Franklin, and they serve folks from surrounding communities. Is that the reason and the logic behind the allocation going to nonprofits that are outside of Franklin? Because they serve more of a regional need, and that some people from Franklin may have to go there, but it just sort of makes sense to share the wealth in those towns where those nonprofits are housed did not perhaps have access to the same funds? I just want to make sure people understand.
So, sure, the funding for Safe Coalition will be used for, all this funding will be used for Franklin residents. So Safe Coalition, the funds will be used for programming for Franklin residents. Gillies House, we're looking to support them to continue the running of their organization. They currently have approximately 25% of their residents are Franklin residents. They're the only sober home in the area. When taking a tour there, they said that they're actually the only sober home in Rebecca Rausch's entire Senate district. So, there's definitely a need for sober housing in the area, and they are the one in this area. So the idea was to support them and to be able to continue to do that work and provide a home for individuals that are coming out of detox and looking for a sober living environment to get back on their feet.
But the opioid settlement funds being distributed throughout the Commonwealth, those other cities and towns could also apply to allocate money to those programs, correct?
Yes, and I believe that the Gillies House is also receiving funds from the town in which they're located, Rentham, and possibly a few other towns, I'm not sure. So,
Yeah,
but I know that Rentham has provided them opioid settlement funds as well.
That's perfect. Thank you for the explanation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Cormier Ledger. Any other? Councilor Frangillo.
Yeah, thank you. There was I believe there was a recent, another opioid settlement recently. I'm assuming that's not reflected in these dollars?
That's correct. I did read that as well, and we're not sure how that will play out. I read that the Attorney General had talked about that, but we don't know if we'll be part of that as well.
Got it.
Or if it will just be to the Commonwealth.
Okay. And so this is the remainder of our opioid fund?
So it's the remainder of the funds that we've received thus far. And then from, from this year till 2038, we'll have additional funds coming through. And you'll see at the end of the packet, it says each year, it's approximately $100,000 each year, but it fluctuates. Some years it's $75,000, other years it's like $110,000. And it's through 2038.
Okay, great. And we're not approving necessarily the funding of the police response program.
No, because we don't have that funding. We don't have that funding currently, and we are funding the police co-response team now with the county ARPA funding. So when that, the way we looked at it was that when that funding ends, we will start trying to supplement the co-response with this.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councilor Frangillo. Any other councilors? Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve Resolution 25-02. Majority votes required. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Zoning bylaw amendment 24-919, a zoning bylaw to amend Chapter 185, Section 20 of the Code of the Town of Franklin, signs at C3. This is the second reading. Clerk will read the bylaw amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Motion to waive the reading?
Second.
Motion and second to waive the reading. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Move zoning bylaw amendment 24-919.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion on the motion. Jamie?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the council, items F and G on this list, the next two bylaws relate to the final reading. I know this is a long process, but just to cut to the chase, this is the final reading to change the sign bylaw in town in just the West Central Street area up near the intersection of 495 and Business and C2 to allow for those promotional area signs that can say wedding tonight, concert tonight on those LED signs in just that neighborhood. And as we just approved the master plan, it's kind of serendipitous because this was one of the sub-bullets kind of in there, Councilor Jones, in there to try to look at the sign bylaws. And this is our baby step to try to move forward with testing out, you know, future sign bylaws. I think that the master plan explicitly prioritized in the next year or two to really look holistically at the entire sign bylaw in town. So this is the final reading, and if you approve this tonight, some of those businesses in that area around the interstate will be able to apply for the planning board for a special permit to be able to do those signs. And we are excited to be here tonight. This is a really big deal, I think, for the town. And I know it's going to be big for businesses, as Councilor DeLoco is famously saying, you know, when did we stop trying to help Franklin residents? So we appreciate everybody's support on this long process and long journey. Thank you very much.
Councilor Jones?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just the mere fact that we made these poor folks sit here through 2.5
They enjoyed it.
Yeah, but I do support this, Mr. Chairman. I think you're right, and to Jamie's point, this is one of our goals and objectives in the master plan. I do have the sneaky suspicion that this isn't gonna be the first, nor the last time we're having discussions about signs here at the council level in years to come.
Thank you, Councilor Jones. Any other councilors? Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve zoning bylaw amendment 24-919, and a 2/3 majority roll call votes required, just so everybody understands, we're 2 councilors short, but we still need 6 votes in order for this to pass.
Correct.
So clerk will call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Cormier Ledger.
Yes.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Frangillo.
Yes.
Pellegrini.
Yes.
Jones, yes. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Chair?
Yes.
7, 2 absent.
Motion carries. Okay, zoning bylaw amendment 24-920, a zoning bylaw to amend Chapter 185, Section 20 of the Code of the Town of Franklin, signs at E2, second reading. Clerk will read the bylaw amendment.
Motion to waive the reading?
Second.
All in favor of waiving the reading signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Move zoning bylaw amendment 24-920.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion on the motion. Any other questions or comments from the council? Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve zoning bylaw amendment 24-920. Again, a 2/3 majority, roll call votes required. Clerk will call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Cormier Ledger.
Yes.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Frangillo.
Yes.
Pellegrini.
Yes.
Jones, yes. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Chair?
Yes,
That's 7, 2 absent.
motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gus. Thanks, Amy.
Thanks, Tom. See you, Beth.
Okay, bylaw amendment 25-922, amendment to sewer system map, second reading. Clerk will read the bylaw amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is 25-923.
Motion to waive the reading?
Second.
Motion is second to waive the reading. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Move bylaw amendment 25-922.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Jamie?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, items H and I both relate to the final reading that you need to do to align the sewer and water pipe up to Franklin Ridge, so we can begin to start that development later this year.
Awesome.
Any other discussion from the council? Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve bylaw amendment 25-922. A majority roll call votes required. Clerk will call the roll.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Frangillo.
Yes.
Pellegri.
Yes.
Cormier Ledger.
Yes.
Jones, yes. Vice Chair.
Yes.
Chair.
Yes.
7, 2 absent, sir.
Motion carries. Bylaw amendment 25-923, amendment to water system map, second reading. Clerk will read the bylaw amendment.
Motion to waive the reading?
Second.
Motion and second to waive the reading. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Move bylaw amendment 25-923.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Jamie?
All good.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve bylaw amendment 25-923. Again, a majority roll call votes required. Clerk will call the roll.
Cormier Ledger.
Yes.
Sheridan.
Yes.
Frangillo.
Yes.
Pellegri.
Yes.
Jones, yes. Vice Chair.
Yes.
Chair.
Yes.
7, 2 absent, sir.
Motion carries. Resolution, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Resolution 25-08, cable funds in support of PEG service and programming per Mass General Law, Chapter 44, subsection 53F3/4. Clerk will read the resolution.
Motion to waive the reading?
Second.
All those in favor of waiving the reading signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Move resolution 25-08.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion, Jamie?
No.
No. Thank you.
No.
Can we just name what this is?
PEG
Oh, cable funds.
cable funds, this is the,
Capital expense.
yeah. Steve, please.
Do a whole thing.
Yeah.
Steve Sherlock, 13 Magnolia. As part of the Comcast Verizon contract, they give us the cable fee portion. They also do some capital improvement. This is the capital equipment piece, so it helps us do the recordings, the broadcasting, et cetera, in your service. Thank you.
Great job.
And hopefully moving forward, the
Great job,
legislature
Steve.
will change this so that we don't have to do this as often as we regularly have to do. Any further discussion? Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve Resolution 25-08. A majority votes required. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 25-09, acceptance of gifts, senior center $50, veterans $2,550, and recreation $8,405.
Wow.
Clerk will read the resolution.
Very happy to read this, Mr. Chairman. Resolution 25-09, acceptance of gifts, Senior Center, Veteran Services Department, and Recreation Department. Whereas the Franklin Senior Center, Veteran Services Department, and Recreation Department have received generous donations in the total amount of $11,005 to be used at the discretion of each department as follows. The Senior Center, $50. Donations to be applied at the discretion of the Senior Center through the Council on Aging Gift Fund to provide services and programs to senior citizens in the Franklin community. The Veteran Services Department, $2,550. Gift Fund, $2,350. Franklin Municipal Veterans Assistance Fund, $200. Donation to be used at the discretion of the Veteran Services Department through the Veterans Gift Fund and the Franklin Municipal Veterans Assistance Fund in support of local veterans and their families. Recreation Department, $8,405. Donation to be deposited in the Recreation Gift Account to be used to help offset financial hardships. Requests from families that cannot afford youth programs through the Recreation Department. Donor information is included in the February 5th, 2025 Town Council meeting agenda packet. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Council, Town of Franklin, on behalf of the Senior Center Veteran Service Department and the Recreation Department gratefully accepts these generous donations to be used at the discretion of each department for the purposes noted above. This resolution to become effective according to the provisions of the Town of Franklin Home Rule Charter.
Move resolution 25-09. 09.
Second.
Motion and second. Ryan, please.
Thank you, Ryan Jetty, Recreation Director. I just wanted to read a quick letter to all the donors. Coach Hank Versbrill, 65 of Franklin, died peacefully on December 28th at his home, surrounded by his beloved family. He was the husband of Ellen McElduff Versbrill for the past 38 years. And in lieu of flowers, Ellen had asked that the donations be made in Hank's memory to the Franklin Rec Department gift account, which will help support families in need that are interested in participating in youth sports. On behalf of the town of Franklin Rec Department, we extend our deepest gratitude to all the generous donors. To the Coach Hank Assistance Fund, these funds will be deposited into our gift account. It will be used to fund those youth sports families in need. These contributions are part of an incredible outpouring of support for a man who gave so much to the community. Coach Hank has touched the lives of countless boys and girls over the years, mentoring them not only to be, in the sport of lacrosse, but also in life. His dedication to our youth lacrosse programs, where he volunteered tirelessly for so many years, is a testament to his character, passion, and the love of the town of Franklin. You can tell I'm getting choked up because he was a friend of mine. With these kind donations, we have now raised a total of $8,405 with 71 donations. More contributions are still coming in. These funds will help ensure that Hank's legacy of kindness, mentorship, and community spirit will continue to inspire future generations. I want to thank the Versbrill family, Ellen, Ann, Marta, and Jake, who are watching at home. And I want to thank all the donors for the Coach Hank Assistance Fund. So with sincere appreciation, Ryan Jetty, Recreation Director. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
And thank you to the family for this generous donation to our Recreation Department, as well as the Senior Center and Veterans. Councilor DeLorco?
Yeah, I'd like to extend my condolences. Hank was a great guy. And I was so happy that he got to walk his daughter down the aisle in September. So, and actually married my son's best friend. So it was a great time, and I was really happy he got to do that before he passed. And it's a great family, great people, and just thank you.
Thank you, Councilor DeLorco. Councilor Jones?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, Hank and the Versprills, thank you so much. Hank was a great man. I don't think many people actually know or even realize that I wouldn't or couldn't maybe be here today if it wasn't for the Versprills, because we live in their house. They sold their house on School Street to go north to New Hampshire for a while, and we bought the house off of them. So when they came back, thank goodness, because they're a great family, and they've done so much for the town of Franklin, Hank. Especially, I wanted, I wish condolences to the family. I went to the wake, and this is just, the generosity is astounding. And I don't want to talk too much because I'm going to draw tears myself. But Mr. Chairman, this is just amazing. I'm floored by this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Cormier-Ledger?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be brief. Thank you, Director Jetty. Can you just let the audience at home know if they would like to make a gift, not just on behalf of the gentleman who passed away, but maybe just make a gift to that fund to help underprivileged kids?
Yeah, sure.
How do they go about that?
They can just either drop a check off at the Recreation Department, made out to the Town of Franklin gift account, Recreation gift account, or they can mail to 275 Beaver Street at the Recreation Department.
Is there a way to make a payment online, or does it have to be a physical check?
Unfortunately, we're just taking checks. It's hard. Once the money comes in through credit cards, it goes into a general fund account and doesn't get redirected. I'm sure we could work that out somehow, but I think checks is probably the best way to do that.
Okay, great, and thank you to everyone for the generosity. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Cormier-Ledger. Any other councilors? Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve.
I have a comment, actually, and a question.
Sorry.
Max.
Max?
Sorry, yes. I just want to know, I believe that the Community Assistance Program provides a 100% discount for people in the Recreation Department, and I appreciate the donation and the contribution. I just wanted to know how that relates to the Community Assistance Program and whether it's a separate thing or whether it complements it.
Ryan?
Yes, Max, we do have a financial hardship program sorry about this. We do have a gift account that's previously been set up. We have about $2,000 in that account before the Hank versus Brill Fund was added to that, so I believe it's about at $10,405 at this moment, with more checks coming.
But that's where the money goes.
Correct, yeah.
From that account.
Correct.
To fund those
Yep, yep.
kids in need.
And anybody that, applies, we put them, we go through their financials and everything, making sure that they follow all the guidelines, just like school lunch or any of those other programs.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Any other questions? Seeing none, the vote will come on the motion to approve Resolution 25-09. A majority vote's required. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Town Administrator report.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chairman, I do have a few announcements tonight. In between 2020 and 2030, at our mid-year level of our Chapter 40B standard, it's called SHI Index. It's our subsidized housing inventory. I have very good news to report. The 121 Grove Street was officially added at our mid-decade level. So we are now officially at 13.68% of our housing stock is deemed affordable by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Nice. So with 121, the entire project got put on that list. And so you saw that percentage rise up from the 2020 numbers, so that's really good news. Second, I want to recognize, it's great that Ryan was just here, and I'm glad he stuck around, and I hope everybody gives his team a huge round of applause. Kim Carney received a special citation from the Massachusetts Recreation and Park Association, recognizing her notable work building and establishing the Commonwealth Field Hockey League. Kim took over the Walpole Youth Field Hockey League 4 years ago, and now the league continues to grow every year with an estimated 2,000 young girls participating in 2024. And just to add on to that, recreation certifications were also given to our incredible recreation director, Ryan Jetty, Sean Fitzpatrick, and Kim, for their designated certified youth sports administrators from the National Alliance of Youth Sports. I don't need to say it, you all know it, the people watching at home, this is the best department in the state of Massachusetts with their recreation department. Kim and Sean have been amazing. And lastly, Mr. Chairman, I just want to mention just a little bit of a review. And as the new website is out and we're thinking about random ways to communicate to get out the good news we're doing, I'm sitting here looking, and I just want to thank Steve Sherlock for what he said earlier about extending to 100 meetings. We lost our communications director a few years ago. We're not able to bring that position back. There are going to be some features, and compliment Amy and Julie and Jared on the website. But I think to everybody's comments earlier on the entire council, for those that are still listening, and maybe this can get clipped on YouTube too, or on Facebook, Ted, just go through what got done tonight, okay? We had incredible donations to the rec department. We're funding our local cable access, and Chris, and the amazing communications we're doing here. We just authorized hundreds of thousands of dollars to our Safe Coalition and Gillies House to help people get off drugs, to address the issues that we've seen in our communities. We've authorized a few $1 million to the schools and all of our departments in capital funding. Huge kudos to the Master Plan Committee for creating a 10 to 20-year vision in front of us. We can't accept all the streets, but we got a couple more off the books tonight. And we even brought in a liquor license of a new restaurant, of a new ownership group that we all learned tonight is now going to increase our revenue for free cash next year. When I look down this entire list, yeah, how could I have forgotten? We helped out Glen Farmer Distillery, a local business and a local family, and maybe some others to be able to help grow their business tonight. And then add on to that, Mike sat here the whole night. He was here for the water and sewer extension. But in all seriousness, we have an amazing staff member, town engineer, who's now finally, still a few years away, but we're finally starting to get closer to putting a shovel into the ground into Franklin Ridge and that affordable home complex of 60 units of affordable housing for our senior citizens in town, and try to open up some single-family homes in town. I understand. People have opinions. I hear them all day. I get it. I really do, and I respect everybody's opinions. We listen to people. We take them. Mr. Chairman sends me a lot of comments from people. All of you do. We're responsive. We try to get back to people as quickly as possible. We're not always going to make everybody happy. Most people email me back, even when they've had a really bad complaint. and they always say, thank you so much for getting back to me so quickly. But I looked at the presentation tonight from the fire chief and Laurie Kay and Billy Numbers, and I think we all really need to just take a step back at the end of these meetings and sometimes look back just the last couple hours at the amazing work all of you do, the amazing work all of our town staff do, Jay Stearns, Brutus, all the department heads, all the staff. Amy, thank you for all your work on the opioid settlement money. That took a tremendous amount of work. And just the fact that we're in such a good position. It doesn't always feel like that, but when I sit here and go through all that got accomplished tonight in almost every meeting, we should all be grateful for the incredible teamwork that's provided in this community. So thank you for the last couple minutes there, Mr. Chairman, and I'll yield my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Subcommittee reports. Capital, you're all set?
All set.
Got voted tonight. EDC have not met. Budget Subcommittee, we did have a listening session last week at the Franklin Lodge Velts. It was a good turnout. I'd obviously like it to be more. We have a few more, 5 more of them coming up. And the next one is next Wednesday evening, and that one's at the
Cafetorium at Remington Jefferson.
Cafetorium at Remington Jefferson.
Yeah.
So please, I urge you, folks, I urge our residents, please come out and get your questions answered. Learn how the budget's built, learn why we're in the situation we're currently in, and the fixes that we have to look at as we move forward. The one after that.
Senior Center on the 9th.
Senior Center, right?
At 7 o'clock at night. That's the night one. Yep.
That's the night, and then we have a day one
In
at the
March.
Senior Center in March. Okay. Okay, Police Station Building Committee, we do have a meeting coming up on the 25th of February at 7 o'clock here at Council Chambers. GATRA, no meeting. Okay, future agenda items. Councilor Cormier-Ledger.
Nothing at this time, sir.
Councilor Plagree.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to be able to discuss the Parmenter School.
Deed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Deed, I was gonna, yeah. The deed and the vote of the town selectmen in 1950, of which I have a copy.
Okay,
Okay. So put on a future agenda.
okay.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No?
No?
No.
Nothing? Councilor Sheridan, Councilor Frangillo?
No.
Councilor Jones?
No, sir.
Councilor DeLorco? Okay, councilor comments? Councilor Pellegrini? Sorry, didn't mean to catch you off guard.
Well, you did catch me quickly like this. But anyway, I just have some concerns about the naming of the schools and taking off Horace Mann's name. And certainly the Parmenter issue that I brought up under it for agenda item. I just feel that in my head, we're losing Ben Franklin,
He's gone.
the way that's being talked about, and now the Horace Mann. Those are 2 dignitaries, that we really should keep in our minds and on our schools and on our namings and all of that. So I did talk to the chairman of the school committee, and I'm gonna get together and talk with him about this deal about no more Horace Mann Middle School, which I think is ridiculous, but that's my comment, and it'll keep coming until we get some answers.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor Pellegrini. Councilor Cormier-Ledger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations to the fire department personnel on their promotions tonight. Thank you to Councilor Jones and everybody once again for the master plan. And just a little shout out to our amazing senior center staff. Archie Bunker and Mary Poppins were having some issues, right? And I didn't know where else to turn, and I had to call the senior center director and just say, is there something that you can do to help my parents with some decisions that they need to make and look at services that are wide-ranging. And they bent over backwards to talk to my mom, take her for a tour, really, with the help of the social worker, talk to her about all of the things that are not just available to Franklin, but available where they live so they can sort of navigate the system. They were just very wonderfully passionate and empathetic and helpful. And as I walked my mom around the facility, she said, "We don't have anything like this in Plymouth. We don't have anything like this in any of the towns near where Dad and I live. How beautiful this place is." And we went to the cafeteria, we went to the classroom, we went to the gift shop. She was grabbing pamphlets. I think they're gonna hop on the bus and go to the some concert that's coming up because they're like, "This sounds like such fun, and I hope the people from Franklin welcome us." And I said, "I think you two will be a riot on the bus going to see whatever that concert is and have a twin lobster dinner." But we're very lucky, is my point. And I don't think we often take the time to just pause for a second and look at what we have and what we are able to give our residents and give each other. We can talk all about the problems till we're blue in the face, but we don't spend enough time on the good stuff. And here were two people that weren't Franklin residents, but just kind of needed some help and needed some guidance, and the staff went out of their way to help them, and I'm very, very appreciative for that. And as a family, we now have some guidance to make some decisions on what's next for them. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Cormier-Ledger. Councilor Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I probably should have put this on the future agenda items, but just a request for dissolution of the master plan committee. They really are. Does that need to be dissolved?
What's that?
With the master
The
plan?
dissolution of the master plan committee.
Oh, that'll come before.
I think it was already in once the planning board voted, it was an automatic dissolution in the resolution.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Once voted.
That clarifies that. Just huge thank you. I mean, that was back to the recreation department and the Rispreels and the generosity that this community has. But Mr. Chairman, one of the things I have to compliment you on is the mere fact that we have these promotions and we have these events here. Because I remember in the past, on several occasions, it was kind of a less attended show, I guess you could kind of put it. But this actually brings people in, and it really kind of highlights the great staff that we have and the promotions, and I wanted to thank you for putting those together over the years. That's made a big difference in morale, I think, across the board, and just the fact that people get recognized, it's a big statement. Other than that, that's about it. Just stay safe tomorrow. I hear it's gonna snow. Where's
Councilor-
you got the snow plows ready?
Councilor DeLorco's in charge of snow. Councilor DeLorco.
Thanks a lot, Brutus. This is not good.
This next couple of weeks is not looking good.
It's not looking good, brother. My last winter, and it's coming down to this.
Payback.
Anything else?
Oh, me?
I called on you.
No, I would like to follow the words of Councilor Cormier-Ledger. The senior center is great. I mean, when I have breakfast down there, I'm sitting with people that are from other towns, like around here, so they love coming to ours instead of going to their own, so, so, or they don't have one or whatever, so, yeah. And, was it Willie's mother died, right? Mrs.
Yeah, Antoinette.
Antoinette died, right?
Yes.
All right, good.
Okay. Councilor Sheridan.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for all the committees and the fire department and everything. It's a great night.
Councilor Frangillo.
Yeah, thanks. I just wasn't sure if it had been mentioned at the top. Our congressman is coming to Franklin for an open Q&A. That's at FHS on Saturday at 12:15. Always a good opportunity to be able to Get the ear of your congressman?
It wasn't,
Oh,
Did that get canceled?
No.
no, I don't believe so.
no.
He was doing his own outreach. We've been trying to coordinate, but I know sometimes things get pulled. I assume it's still going on.
The last I heard.
Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah, and then I would save my final thank you and congratulations to Councilor Jones. No one put more volunteer hours into the master plan than him, and it took an incredible amount of work. We heard from Jill repeatedly, who works on a variety of master plans in a bunch of towns, and she had nothing but praise every time she came for how engaged our members were and how on top of things we were. Even at times when I didn't feel like we were moving at pace, she assured us that most towns are in much worse shape, and I think a lot of that, if not all of it, is kudos to Councilor Jones for putting the team together through, wrangling us subcommittee chairs through, the passage at planning board. So thanks and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Frangillo. Few things from me. First of all, thank you to Councilor Jones, Councilor Frangillo, Councilor Hamblin, and the entire master plan committee and team did a magnificent job in putting the master plan together. And again, the fire department continuing to bring the promotions and so forth forward, and the presentation this evening was certainly eye-opening to me, as well, I'm sure, to many other councilors. And just another point that I want to take the opportunity to speak, as you heard early on in the meeting, Dave Callahan, chairman of the school committee, came forward under citizens' comments. This is something I've asked him to do. He and I talked about this a few weeks ago, and he's going to do that on a regular basis going forward, just to kind of give us an update, a quick update as to what's going on. And again, hoping to send to the community that we are working together in one common goal, which is the betterment of our community. And I think it's important for the community to see Jamie and Lucas. I don't know, if you look back on the last 6 months, when there's budgetary talks, the two of them are side by side.
They are.
And they've been that way for a long time. And I can't say enough positive things for Jamie as well as Lucas for the work that's gone into building the budget as we have this year. We're still in the middle of it. We're probably just beyond halfway. Still a lot of work to do. But I think it's important for the residents to see and hear, not everything that's on social media, because not everything on social media is fact. So I think it's important for you to hear from us that our departments, our municipal department as well as our school department, are working together. As you heard Dave Callahan speak to earlier this evening, we're voting the school budget next week. The school budget is basically the number that Jamie had brought forward, he and Lucas had worked on, building up to this point. So I applaud the efforts of Jamie and our administrators and our department heads, as well as the schools, administration, school committee, and principals in building the entire town budget. So thank you to one and all. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Non-debatable. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.